there? Anybody here? Oh no, it's Christmas week morning. I expect this week to be a little slower, I think. I think people are just sleepy times. But good morning or good afternoon or good evening, whichever one of those apply to you. How are you? How am I? That's a good question. Okay. I have dogs. Can't be that bad with dogs, you know? Oh, now my dog is freaking out. Oh no, I mentioned her. Got upset about it. Where are you going? Saph? What? Not even Sapphire wants to hang out with me today. Oh my god. No one in my community is here. Sapphire left me. What am I even doing? I worked so hard on this one too. Yeah, yesterday I was like, oh, I better make some notes. I better do some notes. But I know what I'm gonna say. About these books. And so I did make notes, but I was like, it's gonna take me, I don't know, maybe a half hour, an hour at most, and then I'll have some time to like play a game. I was gonna maybe look at some new music for fun on my own. See if we can build up the song list a little bit, because there's not a ton on there. There's like not nothing on there, but there's not a ton on there. And I know there's some songs that like I know that just aren't on there because I haven't, thought of them. I was like, oh, maybe I'll do that today after I'm done with these notes. 5 hours later, I'm still writing notes for this talk, and yeah, I didn't get to do any of those things. I ate dinner and went to bed. I read some book. I'm reading another book, obviously. I read a book all the time. I was on a Joe Hill one last week, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and then we'll talk about more Joe Hill because Joe Hill's in the talk today. And then yeah, I did a Joe Hill book last week. It was a really long one, so I spent mostly the whole week on it, and then I like go into another fairly long book that I've been really looking forward to. It's a sequel to one I read earlier in the year that was really good. And it's so far pretty good. I'm enjoying it. Vampires again. I don't know. I used to be like, oh, I don't really like vampires. I'm not really a vampire kind of girl. And I found out recently, I guess, especially if they're gay vampires, I'm into it. I'm into gay vampires, and they're not gay in this one, but it's still hot and it's pretty good. A little young adulty, but like older young adults, so they're like, they're young adults, not like teenagers. But it's dark academia. It's like a university type setting, and secret vampire society stuff. I don't really know how to describe it, but it's very good. We'll talk about it more next week when we do the wrap up of everything I read this week, because I will finish it. And I don't know, I'm at the halfway point right now. I'm 2 days in, so I assume in another day or two, I probably won't finish it tonight now, so probably in like 2 days, I'll probably finish it. And then we'll move on to the next one. I have a next one picked out, but I'm trying to get an audiobook for it. Oh my god, Vic, I was starting to... I missed people. Hi, Vic, how are you? I'm so glad you're here, man. I'm so happy you're here. Good morning, how are you? We got a good day coming? You got any plans? Are you gonna get some breakfast or maybe some coffee? Are you a coffee drinker? We've never discussed. I don't drink coffee myself. I'm more of a tea drinker if I'm gonna have like a warm beverage. But like even in the mornings I probably don't. I'll have like water mostly in the morning. And then I'll move on. I'll have like maybe like a soda or a juice later on in the day. But for the most part, I just drink water in the morning. It's just because I'm too fucking lazy to boil water. You have a cold? Oh no. Maybe I have a cold. My plan is to do a small stream, record some videos, and reschedule them for the week. And schedule them for the week. Oh, I hope that goes well. I never get to... I try to pop into your streams whenever I can. Just to come say hi for a minute. But you know how streaming is. You're busy. You're so busy all the fucking time. Like, it was just... You didn't hear it because I was complaining to myself, but I prepped for this stream yesterday. And I was like, oh, it won't take me very long. It took me like 5 hours. I thought I didn't do anything else but prep for this stream. And I didn't even do anything that fancy. I just took notes. I didn't want to forget things, because, I take painkillers around this time, and they kind of make me a little loopy. Which is fun for us sometimes. Speaking of which, I need to take right now. It's kind of fun. We get slightly zooted Callie, and it's a little bit fun for all of us, but then I would forget to say things. Oh, they're gonna go watch the movie. That's good. Then you'll have somebody to talk about it with too, more detailed. Because I don't think any of us have seen it. I saw the first Avatar film. I haven't seen the second one. This is the third one, right? I'm so sorry. I don't know anything. I'm so out of touch with like media stuff, unless it's books. If it's horror books, I know a lot about it. If you ever get into horror books, I'm your girl. That's the only media I really interact with. Andy, hi, welcome. We're doing books today. We're gonna do books today. I do have to do my book that I read last week. I only got through one because it was almost 900 pages. So, I took 5 days on it. It took me a while to get through. It was very good, though. It made me appreciate Joe Hill a little bit, which I had not in the past. Oh, we can just hop into it, honestly. Let's go. Hold on. Let me switch things up, because I do have to talk about it. Okay. Where is... I think it's this browser source. Yes. It was King's Sorrow from Joe Hill. This came out this year, I think in September or October. Don't remember. But I saw it, and it's another Dark Academia book, which is fun. And I was like, oh, I had just complained, like, I think that Dark Academia is a little bit oversaturated right now. Because, like, a lot of the stuff that had been coming out in the last couple of years, all, like, in a university setting or something like that. Boarding schools, a lot of for the YA audience. And so I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this one. No, it was good. But it just sounded really good. It's so Joe Hill tends to do these books that are very long. And I don't mean that in length, but I mean also in length, but like a 30 string streak. Holy shit, Vic. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your support. I just got done saying I never get it to your streams. I never get to anybody's streams because everybody's in the like Eastern time zone, like in the American time zones. and I'm in bed when y'all stream. I'm asleep. Okay, anyway. Okay. So this book. Joe Hill. Right, I remember now. His timelines are very expansive, I've noticed. I've read 2 of his books now, but I also read the first volume of Lock and Key, which was pretty good, but I think, doesn't Lock and Key also have like a pretty expansive timeline? There's a lot of stuff that happens in the past, and I don't really remember. I only read the first volume, and I watched the first season of the Netflix show when that was coming out. I don't know if it's still a thing. Anyway, so this one is another one where it starts off where the characters are young and they're in college or university and they're doing their thing there, but then it follows them all the way into their adulthood, into their like full on like big actual grown up adulthood. It finishes when they're probably close to their 50s, I would say, like in their 40s, close to their 50s. And so like it's a very expansive timeline for a book, which is also good because it's 881 pages. So I kind of like that. It's a ensemble cast. We start off with one sort of main character who we stick to for at least the first, I would say, quarter of the book. Probably a little less than quarter, but we stick with him through the first act of the book. And then it moves on to focus on other characters who are in it. But it's a group of friends who are all at the same university. And it starts off with Arthur Oakes, who is a young man who is half British. I can't remember exactly where in Britain, but British. And he's also half American. He's black. And his mother is like really involved in his life, but she used to be a professor of some kind, and now she's a preacher, like a pastor for some sort of, she's religious in some way, but she was like a professor, but she's a pacifist, and she's kind of really cool. But she got involved in a pacifist demonstration in which they had to break onto some grounds. They had to break into something in order to do what they were trying to do, their demonstration. And it kind of results, shit goes sideways, and it ends up being that a retired cop turned like security guard, maybe? I was a little lost on that one. I don't fully remember. But he ends up dying as a result of where them breaking in. And so she's held criminally responsible for his death and is in prison during all of this. And it gets pretty crazy. So Arthur is trying to visit his mother while he's at this really prestigious university. Also, hijinks, welcome. He's at a really prestigious university. He's trying to get his degree. He works at the library, and he's like a very like high up student employee who works with this. The university has a very extensive rare books collection, and he's one of the only students who has access to it, and is like a caretaker for those books, for that collection, sort of. So, and he does a lot of research. He's really into mythology, and you know, I don't know, he's a really cool guy. I really like him. And he has all these friends, and the friends, they're in like a southern state somewhere. I want to say it's Alabama, but I can't remember. But it's some sort of southern state, and the surrounding people who live there aren't very well off, but this university is full of rich people. And so there's a lot of rich students there, and and while Arthur himself is not the most well-off person in the world, and has this complication with his mother being in prison, he makes friends with a bunch of well-off students, and so he's in this group of I want to say it was like 5 of them, but I'm probably not counting correctly. Hold on, now I gotta count. 6. There's 6. Almost 7. 6.5, we'll call it. Okay, so there's 6 students, and I don't know, they're doing fun times. But when he goes to visit his mom, fun college times, you know? He goes to visit his mom in prison, and there's a teenage girl, her name is Tana, and her older sister, who is a crazy bitch, and I think the sister's boyfriend is there. Yeah, in prison. And they're all going in to like visit family members. And so Tana, the teenager, is there, and she's kind of like acting a little strangely. She's not like excited to be there, and she's wary of her sister, who is being a bitch. And they're trying to get into the prison, and the guard doesn't let the girl, is like, she can't come in because she's wearing a Guns N' Roses t-shirt, and it's a reference to firearms, and so therefore she can't come in, because that's not allowed in the prison. And they're about to like argue, and so Arthur's like, let me just make the peace. He's like, here, you can wear my hoodie. And he hands the hoodie over to her, and she puts it on, and everything's fine. And he was just being a nice man. And he goes in, and he visits his mom. Yeah, no, it seems like yeah, it's stupid. I think it's some high school shit, but like, I kind of, whatever. I'm sure that's actually a thing. I'm sure it's actually a thing. But yeah, they go into the prison, and he's visiting with his mom, and then, for some reason, that little family with Tana and the bitch sister and the boyfriend kind of like get her involved with their conversation, in which they're like chastising Tana for apparently not doing something well and losing them a bunch of money. And so then you get the concept that, oh, they are drug dealers. And somehow Tana fucked up a deal or something like that. And so they're trying to be like, oh, so she's responsible. I don't know, it was really weird. And they like start like getting like really up in Tana's face. And it's starting to like almost become like a physical altercation. And so Arthur steps in because he's a nice man and doesn't want to see a girl get her teeth knocked in, and wants to stop the violence, but what ends up happening is it makes the violence worse. And but yeah, that's the way it goes. And so then they all get kicked out of the prison. They have to stop the thing, and yes. Hi, Yellow Mustard, our daily dad joke. Did you hear the joke about the German sausage? It was the worst. It was the worst. Thank you. Anyway, so they get kicked out. I know I'm going about this like really crazy, but like there's more to it. But what happens is he like goes back to his old life. He's like, oh, they stole my hoodie. That's cool. But then they show up. They show up at like his work or something like that. and they're just like, "Oh hey, what's up, big man? You want your hoodie back?" And then they're like, "Oh, I got a picture you should see," and they show him this Polaroid picture of his mother sleeping in the prison with a blade up to her neck. But she's asleep, she doesn't know this is happening. And they're like, "We could make your mother's life really difficult if you don't do what we say." And so they start making him steal from the rare book collection, which is really difficult for him. And they like get him into this situation, and so now he has to steal all these books to protect his mother. And one of the books in the collection is this really creepy, weird book that is bound in human skin. And they want that book, and he's like, "I can't steal that book." But he ends up taking it because they kind of like forced his hand on it. And then he brings it, it's like over Christmas break. So he brings it back to the apartment and all his friends are there, and they're like reading through it, and they see there's this like ritual to bring this dragon, King Sorrow, out through the long dark, and you can deal with him and he will get rid of your enemies and protect you. And they are very, very high. They're very, very intoxicated. And so they're like, "Yeah, let's do it." And they do it, and it's like creepy and weird. And they make a deal with him to kill Jane, the sister, who is the one who is orchestrating everything and making Tana's life miserable as well. And she does die, and so this is the boyfriend. The dragon gets him on Easter Day, and they're all like guilty about it because they're, humans, and they feel guilt. But it was like it needed to be done. At least it's only this one time. Christmas the next year pops around, and here comes King Sorrow being like, "I need another name." And they're like, "Oh no, that was a one-time thing." And he's like, "No, bitches, I'm a dragon. This is a yearly thing. We do this every year, so get to calling a name for me." So now they're stuck in another cycle of being forced to do bad things. And it's really interesting. So then it follows each individual person as they are pulled through the years of having to pick names and the devastation that it caused, and then like how it can corrupt people or it can empower people to like find a way. And Arthur the whole time is trying to figure out a way to kill a dragon, and it was really interesting. So anyway, great book. Usually we read this, but I feel like I did a good description, but we'll go ahead and it's not that big. I mean, I got a list of names. I feel like they'd be really easy to find some names on a list somewhere, That's basically what they do. That is basically what they do. They like go and they try to like find people that they think like are terrorists, basically. There's like a little side joke being like, we just didn't think that Osama bin Laden guy was really gonna do anything. He was on our list, but we didn't pick him for various reasons. I wish we would have picked him. Well, yeah, they do stuff like that, but then they also sometimes, because each member is supposed to be the one to choose, and some of it goes awry, and sometimes they get kind of caught out by some like larger entities who are like, "What the fuck is this?" Also, like, a giant dragon also kills them, so it is sort of evident that something big and disastrous happened. And it's not like they just die peacefully, Anyway, let me read this real quick. Arthur Oakes is a reader, a dreamer, and a student at Rockham College, Maine. Oh, I thought it was in the South. No, it's in Maine. Okay, that makes sense. Renowned for its frosty winters. Also, there was snow. I should have clocked that. All right. and beautiful buildings. But his ideal in burgeoning romance with Gwen Underfoot is shattered when a local drug dealer and her partner corner him in one of the worst crimes he can imagine, stealing rare books from the college library. Trapped and desperate, Arthur turns to his closest friends for comfort and help. Together, they dream up a wild, fantastical scheme to free Arthur from the cruel trap in which he finds himself. Wealthy, irrepressible, oh my god, irrepressible Colin Wren suggests using the unnerving Crane Journal, bound in the skin of its author, to summon a dragon and do their bidding. The others, brave, beautiful Allison Shiner, the battling twins Donna and Donovan McBride, and brainy old Gwen, don't hesitate to join Colin in an effort to smash reality and bring a creature of the impossible into our world. But there's nothing simple about dealing with dragons, and their pact to save Arthur becomes a terrifying bargain in which the six must choose a new sacrifice for King Sorrow every year, or become his next meal. Yeah, I mean, stealing books is pretty damning. He doesn't like it. He's really upset about it because he cares about the books, and they're selling them for so much less than what they are worth because they're like, oh, we have to unload it, and it's like, but it's worth like $6,000. Hello, lost. Oh my god, Argonaut. Oh, don't steal books, except for college textbooks. Those ones you can steal. Yeah, steal all of those. Um. Use libraries. So they're stealing from the library in this case. Anyway, it was a really good book. I'm actually very surprised because we will talk about Joe Hill later too. And I was okay with that book, but I didn't love it that much. This one I really liked. Like, surprised how much I liked it. Enough that I'm like, oh, maybe I should read another Joe Hill book. Anyway, let's go ahead. The rating system, I know I explain it every time, but we got new people here. We have Lost here. You don't know my rating system. If it's a 3 or above, that means I liked it. If it's a 4 or above, that means that I want to own it in my home library and have it on my shelf. If it's a 5, that means I also want to hug it and keep it in my bedside table so I can look at it longingly while I sleep. Mostly a library user. I don't typically go... I never stop reading a book halfway through or anything like that. Even if I think it sucks, I read it all the way through. I'll just rate it poorly. I like to torture myself. That's fine. Anyway, this is a 5 for me. It was a 5 for me. Is it because I also am on drugs and that's gonna make this really fun? What we're about to do? Sure. But yay, I like this book. You should read it. It's a good one. Also, the audiobook was really good because I go back and forth between reading physical and then audio. 5-star triggers a year-long obsession and perhaps catalyzes some personality changes for me. Okay, fair. Mine's more of a do I want to hug this book than I feel pretty good about that 5. But I'm a little more. I don't know how to say this. So I'm just going to say it this way, and I'm sorry. I'm kind of slutty with my stars, I like to give it away. I'm not stingy with my stars. You can have stars if you need them. I'm really glad that Glitch isn't here to clip that one. Really glad Glitch isn't here to clip that. Do I want to look upon it in physical form and risk it being destroyed by the malcontents within my house? Yeah, that's another thing. We have a lot of books, but I don't read physical books because I have disabilities that make that difficult, and so ebooks are easier for me to hold, and I can change the font size and stuff like that. And so then I also use audiobooks alongside it for when my eyes get tired. I need to write a review. How about this book made me take another look at Joe Hill. I like the pacing and the grand scheme of the timeline. The thriller parts were cool, but I enjoyed the fantasy elements the most. Would put on shelf and caress. The cover. Okay, we have added the review for this week. Hooray! Now we can get to the meat of things. At least it's cheaper that way. Yeah. Libraries are good. Libraries are good. Okay. So today, I have prepared for you all some reading. I did. Because I feel like it is the holiday season, thus the holiday cute outfit, and I am a reindeer. And in this time of festive things, I feel like the romance girlies get all the attention. They got the Hallmark. They got all the books with the weird little cartoon character people kissing and smooching under Christmas tree with mistletoe everywhere. And you got the city worker guy who comes out to the country and learns how to love over Christmas for some reason. You got the holidays, you got the handcuffs, you got the dumb stuff. And I'm not bitter about that at all, but I just feel like, why should they have all the fun when there is so much that could be terrifying about Christmas? You have to see your family. You have to you have to wrap presents. Oh God, capitalism, terrifying. I guess technically this one has a little. King Sorrow also had a little Christmas element to it because they pick the sacrifice in Christmas, and then it happens on Easter though. Maybe someday Hallmark will come up with a second movie plot. That would be really nice. Even their Hanukkah one, the Hanukkah one was so bad. It was really bad. But and to be fair, I like romance books, and I enjoy the sappy holiday ones, but I just feel like there's so much that could be done with the horrors of Christmas, which is historically more scary than it is presently today. So I went on a little hunt. And I know there's some Christmas horror films, but I don't watch a lot of films. Also, just don't have access to them. I haven't seen any of them. But then it made me think there's gotta be some books out there, right? So I found 3 and I read them. I'm going to talk about them. What is my opinion on romantasy? I don't really fuck with all the really popular ones. But there's some that I'm like, this is fun, and it's usually kind of dumb. Like, okay, I read the Hurricane Wars, that series I've been reading. Kind of like that one. And then I like... can't remember the name of it. It was Norse. Blood, bone things. It's crazy. Yeah, there's a quote that goes, I liked it. I said I liked it. I never said it was good. Yeah, there's a lot of things in that. For example, I have the Bryn Weaver murder romances with the serial killers. I think it's so stupid. It's like juvenile and kind of gross, and I love it. I love it so much. It's so funny. It makes me laugh out loud, and I just the sex scenes are hot, and I don't know. I just love it so much. But yeah, there's another one. I can't remember the name of it. I really did like it though. Like genuinely, not even in a I think this is kind of bad. I recognize it's not great literature or anything like that, but neither is any of the horror stuff that I read. It's all a little trashy too. I think that romantasy is a different kind of trash. Let's see what the name of this stupid book was. I can't go back that far. A good library, maybe? No, it just doesn't go back that far. That's fine. This is what happens when you read too much. I've read 110 pages, or not pages, words this day. Not words, books. Jesus Christ. Anyway. But there's one. It's Norse. That's all I can remember about it. Blonde lady on the cover. Carved bone something. Words, blood, bone, curse, blood, bone, carved. Those are names that are in the titles. 2 books. They're alright. They're kind of fun. I like them. Anyway, okay, so yeah. Romance girlies don't need to have all the fun. I have read 3 books that have at least some Christmas vibes and are gruesome and bloody and terrifying and will, at least get your heart pumping a little bit. And the first one we're going to talk about is Krampus, the Yule Lord. As you can see, this one, we did talk about it last month, because that's when I read it. And I did give it a 5-star rating, so I did really like this one. This one, I call it an Appalachian Yuletide crime thriller. And horror. It has some horror elements. It's mostly, I would say it's mostly on the crime thriller part, but it is quite gory in some places. And I've never read anything from Brom. This is who Brom wrote this one. So I was really excited to be able to try to read something from them. They do interesting stuff, and I just, for whatever reason, this one really hit me in a place that I really enjoyed, because I think I do like the crime thriller. And I love anything that's set in Appalachia. I come from a place just on the edge of Appalachia. I now live in the Alps of France, so apparently mountain stuff is in my blood. I'm called to the mountains. But yeah, I really do enjoy that setting, because I think it's an interesting one. So Krampus the Yule Lord, it starts off with our main character, Jesse Walkers. He is kind of a down on his luck. I called him the walking, talking epitome of a country blues song, My job left me, my wife left me with my daughter. My truck is next. Whiskey, she be the only gal for me. That's kind of how his life seems to be going. He's living in this crappy trailer park because he's been excised from his family, and he can't seem to get his shit together in order to like get a good job, or to like he's unmotivated. He's very depressed. He's also kind of stuck as a drug runner because it's Appalachia, so drugs are a big thing there. And this is because the police itself are very corrupt and in the same sort of thing. They are in on it, and if he tries to leave the drug cartel, he will then be arrested, and then any chance that he has to try to get back with his wife and his daughter will be ruined. I was surprised when I realized it was the same Brom who has a line of artistic models. Yeah, same guy. Yeah. Not the drug thing, but the depressed thing. Oh, same. Yeah, no, the depressed thing. I get that one. Definitely do understand it. In the meantime, though, his wife, to make things worse, his wife, her name is Lydia Walker. She moved in with another man named Dillard, and this is the corrupt police chief who knows everything about what's going on, and he is like, "Hey, you mess with me and Lydia, or was it Lynn? You mess with me and your wife, who is soon to be your ex-wife, then I'll bring down the hammer on you. I'll make your life real miserable. So leave us alone." And so that kind of sucks for him. He was, again, it's not helping with his depression things. He's using his power to control Jesse and the wife. And mostly she's really tired of Jesse's poor choices. He's made some bad ones, obviously. He got involved with the cartel to begin with. And then he's always had this sort of depressed attitude of like, there's no upward momentum that I can ever reach onto, and he's too scared to go for any of his dreams. He's a musician, he plays the guitar, he sings, and he refuses to make any moves towards doing something with that, even though he's had opportunities, because he's scared. And so she's just like, okay, well, you're not going anywhere. I can't raise a family with you refusing to try. And defeatist attitude. I know firsthand how unhelpful that can be. Exactly. He has this issue. And so now she's just like, I have tried to support you, but you have not made any attempts. So we're going to now move on, and I'm going to find somebody who can offer me and our daughter some stability, and, you know, a house would be nice. That's all I'm looking for. Food. And so, like, I get that. I understand what she's going through. So she and her daughter, Abby, move in with this guy, Dillard, and she doesn't know about him being involved with the drug ring or anything like that. She just sees that he's an authority figure and has a good reputation in the town. He has a good job and a home. A lot of respect is given to him, and so she sees him as like everything that she needs to be okay. Well, Jesse knows more, obviously. So Jesse feels stuck, no way out. He has this super dramatic, and actually the chapter in which this happens, which is very early on in the book, it's just visceral. It's Christmas Eve, and he's like, everything sucks. My life sucks. I cannot do anything. I can't even buy my baby girl a present. What am I doing with my life? I am the worst. He's getting drunk, and he is gonna try to kill himself. He has like a gun in his mouth. But he stops himself and then blacks out in his truck. But then he wakes up to something pretty weird. Some weird things. So we're going to cue in our Belsnickles at this point. But we have an ad who's going to run in a minute. So I'm going to go ahead and run that ad. And then when we come back, I have an excerpt from Rio. Well, let's run that ad if it will let me. Come on. You want me to run the ad. You do. Don't lie. Oh, sneak peek, by the way. Sneak peek. Come on. Would like to have ads play, wouldn't you? Yeah, okay. Ads play now. Whoa. There they go. Okay. Ads should be going. I mean, it would be nice. Yeah, I'm a disabled woman who is just trying to get by, so like every little bit helps. But if it would be bothersome, then you know, whatever. I'm still happy to have you here. Either way. Ugh. Disabled in France. I use a wheelchair. It's really difficult because everywhere has a step. I can't go to a lot of doctor's offices. Wee. I'm not bitter about it. Who's bitter? I miss the ADA, man. The only thing in America that's really great is the ADA. And the ADA is not even that good. Ugh. I have cold water and it feels really nice. Right. Aw, thank you so much, Lost. That's so nice of you. I'll take a little break just because I don't want anybody to miss things. What's different about being disabled in America versus in France? Well, most of the buildings, okay, so there's more building code that has requirements for disabled people to be able to get into your establishment, especially for certain ones. Sometimes you can get an exemption, but over here there really isn't anything like that, or the exemptions are much more wide because the buildings are all quite old. The newer buildings that are made tend to have better infrastructure. But like there's so many, I didn't get language classes when I moved here, and every immigrant is required to have language classes if they don't have good enough language skills, which I do not. I wasn't able to get them because I could not go to the place in which they hold the language classes. So I got an exemption, which is, you know, that's a way to get rid of that. But that's one of the things that's really annoying is that it's so hard to get into any of the buildings and you're never guaranteed that you'll be able to fit through a door. That there'll be a ramp. A lot of times it's mostly the doors. Very frustrating. Anyway, back to this. I have excerpt for you. I should have opened up the excerpt while we were talking. Boop, boop, boop. Which one? Oh, this. Okay. So again, he stops himself from killing himself, he blacks out, and then he wakes up to a sight. This is starting on page 14 from you. Let's see how far we go into this. Jesse heard a jingle, then a snort. He blinked, sat up. Had he fallen asleep? He rubbed his forehead and glanced around. There, at the end of the cul-de-sac, stood 8 reindeer, right in front of the Tuckers' driveway. They were harnessed to a sleigh, and even in the weak glow of the glittering holiday lights, Jesse could see it was a real sleigh, not some Christmas prop. It stood nearly as tall as a man, the wood planks lacquered in a deep crimson and trimmed in a delicate, swirling gold. The whole rig sat upon a pair of stout runners and spun into elegant loops. Jessie blinked repeatedly. I'm not seeing things, and I'm not drunk. Shit. Don't even have a buzz. One of the deer pawed the snow and snorted, casting a cloud of condensation into the chilly air. He looked back at the road. The only tracks he saw in the fresh snow were those of his truck. Where the hell did they come from? The reindeers all lifted their heads and looked up the hill. Jessie followed their eyes but saw nothing. Then he heard tromping. Someone in heavy boots coming fast. What now? A man in a white beard, wearing knee-high boots, a crimson Santa suit trimmed in fur, and clutching a large red sack, sprinted down the gravel lane, running full out, the way you'd run if something was chasing you. Something was chasing him. 4 men burst out upon the road at the hilltop right next to Millie's glowing manger. Black men cloaked in dark, ragged hoodies, carrying sticks and clubs. Their heads bobbed about, looking every which way until one of them spotted the man in the Santa suit. He let out a howl, jabbed his club in the direction of the fleeing white-bearded man, and the whole pack gave chase. What the hell? The Santa man raced past Jessie, dashing toward the sleigh, puffing and puffing, his eyes wild, his jolly cheeks flushed, and a fierce grimace taut across his face. He was stout, not in the traditional fat Santa Jessie was used to seeing, but solid through the chest and arms. The pack rushed down the lane in pursuit, brandishing their weapons. Jessie realized their bodies were actually cloaks of fur, hide, and feathers, billowing and flapping out behind them as their long, lopping gait quickly narrowed the gap. Jessie caught the glint of steel, noted nails protruding from the clubs, and deadly blades atop the sticks. He felt his flesh prickle. Their orange eyes glowed, their skin shone a blotchy bluish black, and their horns sprouted out from the sides of their head like devils. What the fuck? 2 more appeared, darting out from behind the Tucker's trailer, intent on intercepting the Santa. These 2 wore jeans, boots, and black jackets with hoods. Santa didn't even slow. He put his head down and rammed his shoulder into the first man, slamming him into the second assailant, knocking both attackers off their feet. A gunshot thundered. One of the pack had pulled a pistol. Gunshot, not gunshot, sorry. A gunshot thundered. One of the pack had pulled a pistol, was trying to shoot the Santa man. It fired again. A chunk of wood splintered off the sleigh. Away! The Santa screamed. Away! A head popped out from the front seat of the sleigh. Looked like a boy with large pointy ears. The boy looked past the Santa man, and his eyes grew wide. He snatched up the reins and gave them a snap. The deer pranced forward, and the sleigh actually rose off the ground. What in the hell? The Santa man slung the red sack into the back of the sleigh and sprung aboard. Jessie was struck by how nimble and spry the stout old guy was. The sleigh continued to rise, a good 15 feet off the ground now. Jessie figured they just might escape when the foremost devilman leapt, launching himself a distance Jessie would have thought impossible, and caught hold of the runners. His weight pulled the sleigh down sharply, almost toppling it. The remainder of the 5 devilmen leapt after the first, 4 of them clambering into the back of the sleigh, while the last one landed upon the back of the lead deer. The reindeer, rolling their eyes and snorting fitfully, pawed at the air. The whole circus began to spin upward. The pistol went off 3 more times. Jessie was sure the Santa man was hit, but if he was, he didn't seem to know it. He let loose a tremendous kick, catching one of the men square in the chest, knocking him into another and nearly sending both of them off the back of the sleigh. The pistol flew from the creature's hand and landed in the snow. Another devilman grabbed the sack and tried to leap away. The white-bearded man let out a crazed howl and lunged at him and grabbed him, swinging and clawing. He landed a mighty fist into the devil man's face. Jesse heard the bone-splitting blow all the way from his truck. The man crumpled, and Santa yanked back the sack just as the remaining creatures fell upon him. The sleigh shot upward, spinning even faster, and Jesse could no longer see what was happening. Could only hear the screams and the yells as the sleigh spun up and up and up. He stepped out from the truck, craning his neck, tracking in the diminishing silhouette. The clouds had moved in, and it snowed again. The sleigh quickly disappeared into the night sky. Silence. Jesse let out a long exhale. Ugh. He clawed out a pack of cigarettes from the breast pocket of his jean jacket. About the time he located his lighter, he caught a sound and glanced back up. Someone was screaming. The screaming grew in volume, and he caught sight of a black speck tumbling toward the earth. The Devilman landed on the windshield of the trucker boy's Camaro, smashing into the hood and setting off the horn. The horn blared up and down the snowy lane. And thus ends our quick little reading. Oh, a mechanized exoskeleton would be kind of nice. Hello, good morning, Glitch. Welcome in. It sounds like the opening to Indiana Jones. Yeah, Indiana Jones, and the Bill Schnickles. I don't know. Oh, thank you so much, Lost, for the follow. I very much appreciate it. Even after my terrible reading. So yeah, that's what he wakes up to after blacking out. Hooray. Pride. So they were after the sack, the Belschnickels. They, obviously were trying to take it, and Santa freaked out when they were trying to grab it. And that's because the sack is obviously very important. Where does the sack end up, though, is the question. In Jesse's trailer. Yeah, remind them bigots they're not welcome. Tell them get out. We'll set the Belschnickels on them. We won't think too hard about Belschnickels, though, because they are kind of racist. Don't think too hard about it. Okay? They're a little racist, but we're not going to think about that. They're not black as in African American skin types. They are black as in the color black. Which is not helpful. This is not helping my case here. Look, they're racist. They just are. But I think that Brom tried to use them in a way that was not. I mean, I also am proud of you, Jinx, for doing the clip. Don't look up Belschnickels. It's wild. It's crazy. We still do these things today. Anyway, but the sack ends up in Jesse's trailer. It breaks through the roof in the process, and so now his bedroom is just covered in snow and debris, which is fun. He gets in there and he sees it. And he's like, what's up with this thing? And he finds out that this sack, it can produce any toy that he can imagine. So he thinks of a toy, and he can put his hand into the sack and pull out the toy. And he thought of some things like, oh, well, does that mean it will just make anything that I can think of? So he's like, oh, let me think of a diamond ring. And he did, but it was a toy diamond ring. Let me think of a gun. He did, and it's a toy gun. So it's only toys. So he does use this to get gifts for his daughter, which was something that he was, bemoaning while he was about to kill himself. It's important to note here, though, that Santa has been using this sack, but it does not belong to him. It's not his. And there is a really batshit reason that the Belsnickel were after it. And because of Jesse now having possession of the sack, he is now mixed up in that mess of things. So he is mixed up with both parties who are searching for it, but Jesse just sees this as maybe a way he can get himself out of his situation. But, he'll make some PlayStations. He'll sell the PlayStations. He can, make enough money to get out of his shit, This is off topic, but since the sack can fabricate pretty much anything, doesn't it depend on your intention of what the toy is, interpretation of what a toy is? I wonder if you can consider something dangerous a toy, and the sack will make it. Well, maybe. It is possible, because the sack is able to do other things too, but he doesn't know about that yet. You'll find out, though. Lawn darts! Fuck both of you.
No, that's a good one.
Lost, just so you're aware, Glitch and Jinx are usually in the same room together. So sometimes they'll overhear each other saying things out loud and be having conversations while I do these things. And it's kind of funny when they both say the same thing. You didn't say it out loud this time? No, you guys just lived together too long. Toy sword, yeah. Okay. So, who is this Krampus fellow and the Belsnickel? Santa has imprisoned Krampus in a cave for 500 years. That's what he's been doing. He was like, Krampus, I'm done with your bullshit. In this cave, 500 years, you are imprisoned. But over that time, Krampus has been slowly gaining power because belief in Santa is what was keeping him in there. So as the belief in Santa and the rise of Christianity and the Christianization of Yuletide became bigger and it became the norm, his power drained because belief is what powers them. So Santa got much more powerful and Krampus became much weaker. And so then he was able to be imprisoned in this cave. But recent years, belief in Santa has gone down. People are much more miserable for various reasons. And the holly jolly Yuletide facade has been corrupted by capitalism and Coca-Cola, as my husband over there just said. And it has made it so that Krampus was able to gain some strength back and also break out of his prison. What? I missed things. Okay, I mean, St. Nicholas was very much a real guy. Exactly. That is true. However, this we'll get to that in a second. Hold on. Let me get through this. Krampus is a descendant of Loki. He is the spirit of Yuletide. He embodies the concepts of the punishing winter, survival, and balance. If you don't know too much about Krampus as a figure, he will go. He goes to your house and he visits you, and you're supposed to like leave him food and stuff in his Belsnickel food, and they'll have like a little feast, and then they will, if you are good and you've kept your house nice and clean and stuff like that. He put a bunch of traditions together, and that he will reward you with a trinket in your shoe, which also sounds like St. Nicholas Day to me. Sounds like they stole some things. He will leave a trinket in your shoe of some sort of gift. And if you are bad, he will find you and put you in his sack and beat you with sticks. In some other parts of the legend, places where they have a similar legend, he will find you and kidnap you. And where does he make you go? Spain? He sends you to Spain. Which is where the slave markets were, which is why it's also racist. back to the racism. But we didn't do that in this one. This one was just the stick beatings. This one was just beating children. It's fine. So Santa, though, in this story, Santa is different too. He's not Saint Nicholas. He's instead somebody parading around as a saint. He's actually Balder. Yeah, you know, the god. He's portraying himself as Santa. He's gaining influence as the pagan beliefs wanes and Christianity rises. Over time, Balder has transformed winter into a fake surface level kind of concept of joy and warmth, removing all the aspects of Krampus and and thus reality of what winter is. Wait, Odin's... Oh yeah, wait, the other way around. Yes. This Balder guy, he apparently has a gate. 3 of them, I've heard. That's a shitty joke, I'm sorry. But what ends up happening is the Christmas turns into this thing where it co-opted the pagan beliefs, and it's really just this surface level concept of joy. It's ultimately made the Yuletide season kind of hollow, which is where like the world now needs Krampus more than ever. So Krampus has come back. So once Santa loses Loki's sack, belief in him wanes even more because he kind of fucks up that night. It gives Krampus the strength to escape. And now both of these supernatural forces are searching for the sack, and thus they are searching for Jesse, which is not great. Stick beatings to save the world and save Christmas. I mean, could be fun. I don't know. Piñatas are joyful. Well, the point is to not get beaten with a stick, you know? The point is you want your trinket. Unless you're into that, and then, like, I don't know what to tell you. Now, all of this, the 2 parties being after him. So now he's got the Belschnickels and Krampus coming after him because they want the sack. And then he has the Santa or Balder and his weird little elf people. He has elves too. But he's also coming after him because they want to get the sack back too. Unfortunately, this all comes to a head when Jesse is meeting with the drug cartel that is, you know, kind of forcing his hand, and they all come out. So then when Santa and some warring Belschnickels come out, they think that Jesse has set them up. And Jesse ends up running and is taken away with the Belschnickel who, like, help him escape. And that's when he meets Krampus, which is kind of cool. So the Belschnickel are kind of cool. I think that they're fun. Most of them are ancient former people is the way that I put it. So Krampus is kind of a vampire, which is not what I was expecting. I don't know where Brom is getting this from. He did put in a little section at the end where he was like, this is where all of these traditions come from, because it's a mishmash of many different traditions that use a Krampus-like figure, and then obviously Norse mythology. But he's kind of a vampire. He can turn recently dead people with some sort of blood magic. Loki's children are all weird. It makes them magically, like, indentured servants to him. Until he, like, lets them go, though. And that's what turns them into these little demon-looking things. But they were humans at one point, and then he kind of like does some sort of magic blood magic thing where he has them drink his blood, and so drinking his blood revives them from death, but also turns them into a subservient demon thing for him. Okay. But the Belschnickel themselves are kind of cool, but they do like have to do what he says. They're magically bound to do what he says, but also they kind of like him. Like, honestly, Krampus isn't a bad guy. He's not good either. He's not like Holly Jolly Saint Nick, who wants the world to have happiness and joy and bring laughter to children. But he is nice and wants generous in some ways, and really he's encouraging. he does have, like, you have consequences for your actions with him, but you also like he's also just like kind. I don't know how to say. He's just like a normal guy. He seems like, I don't know, he's not evil. Other than the fact that he wants to kill Balder. But like, he's just a little guy. He's just a little guy out there just trying to spread some Yuletide feelings and get people prepared for the winter, you know, the long hard winter. It's rough out there. Yeah, lawful neutral, I would say. I ended up liking him, but I did find him to be kind of whiny and petulant at times. But like, he's also a descendant of Loki. What did we expect? So Krampus wants to kill Balder, but everybody wants to kill Balder, and they succeed most of the time. But he needs help because he's not actually able to do it himself. He needs a mortal to actually do the blow. So he makes a deal with Jesse. Help him deal with Balder, and he'll help Jesse deal with Dillard and the whole drug cartel thing that he is in trouble with. And so that's kind of like when the story gets going for the most part. Because Jesse's like, hell yeah, seems good. Hey Wavy, welcome. We're talking about horror books that have to do with Christmas. We doing a good time, having a spooky Christmas. But yeah, the sack is kind of super magic. In other ways too, it doesn't just produce toys. It can kind of like go into, there's like a portal. It's more of a portal magic sort of thing. So if you can envision where a place is, you are capable of reaching your hand into that place and like taking something out from over there. So what was probably happening when Jesse was getting the toys out is that it was opening up to the last place that it had opened to, which is Santa's workshop. And so he was like envisioning weapons or whatever, and Santa's workshop only has toys. So they were handing him toys of that thing because that's what they have there. Ooh, nice. I actually found a book I actually want to read for once. I just got to find it in store. You can also check libraries. Libraries are good places to get books. I use my local library all the time. And by local, I mean the place that my hometown library is more accurate. I use my hometown library. I don't need to know where I live. Otherwise, I would not be getting, books in English, and that's really important to me because I don't have a very good my vocabulary in France in French is not very good. Yeah, like, Krampus sort of in this journey sort of is like, oh, maybe, and like, Jesse, maybe you have a little bit of Loki's blood in you, because he's able to actually use the sack pretty adeptly, which is kind of cool. But the story goes from showing the humanity of Krampus and how he uses these Yuletide traditions in a world that desperately needs reminders of survival in hard times and balance, which I think is very, very true, and we're seeing it more and more every year, that, hey, shit is rough right now, and we need to stop ignoring problems and start thinking of how to survive problems and how to bring balance back into this world. And I thought it was a really good message for this one. Jesse learns these lessons over time with the Yule Lord and helps him with bringing these Yuletide traditions back to the people. And they're suffering in this rural Appalachian town. A lot of the people are not doing well, and like, it brings, they like go into these houses with these kids, and some of the kids are like not very well taken care of, and it pisses Krampus off that they're not being taken care of. And he tells them that if you are good and you do well this year, next year you'll get like a little treat from me. He doesn't beat any of the children. He leaves them these little gold coin things that are actually worth a fair amount of money because they're pure gold. Yeah, it was actually like a really sweet moment with some of these children, and I think that it was nice but also weird. Jesse's like, I don't know what we're doing here, and I don't know if this is gonna go well. And at the same time, Krampus is kind of unraveling because he just sort of feels like, what am I doing this for? And so then Jesse and Krampus end up switching places a little bit throughout this. But Krampus gives Jesse confidence and shows him that he can save his family. He can go after his dreams. He shouldn't give up when things get hard, which is what he had been doing. He was in that really defeatist attitude, and Krampus shows him how he can persevere and be strong and be there for his family, because his family is not in a good situation. His family is with Dillard, and he, in this time while he's working with trying to figure out what to do about these people, he finds out that Dillard is a murderer. He murdered his first wife, and people just kind of fucking know about that and don't do anything about it. I don't know, like, he's just a really corrupt guy, and he deserves whatever happens to him. Motivational speaker Krampus. I should be able to find it in the second hand in a lot of places. Oh yeah, second hand also is really good. Yeah. Do you have anything else to say about this? Maybe. Oh, right. Yeah. Also, there's murder and buckets of gore. You know, the Norse way. Wife, you murder your wife, you get in the sack, motherfucker. But he, like, gives him, like, the strength to, like, he's the one who saves his family. And his wife is all like, oh, Jesse, I'm so happy you're here. I really screwed this whole thing up. And he's like, yeah, that's okay, though. Things happen. I know that I screwed these things up, too. And I'm ready to, like, stand up and make my life meaningful again, because I learned things from Krampus. There's this really cool scene where they are like doing, I think it's like Christmas evening, and they go into a like jury sort of bar, like a dive, and Krampus like does his Krampus magic and turns them into like dancing, singing, happy people, and is like, Yuletide merriment now. And the powers of Yuletide and the forces of Mother Nature come together, and they're channeled through Jesse as he sings and plays the guitar for these people, and everybody dances and fucks and gets drunk, and it's a grand old time, the way that Yuletide should be. So next time you have a Christmas party, if you don't end up drunk and having sex, I don't know if you did it right. Into the sack you go. If you don't get into the sack, you'll get into Krampus's sack. You hear me? What a heartwarming tale of drug trafficking, wife murdering, and questionable dealings with Norse deities. I know, I loved it. Oh yeah, we can have orgy in here. We're allowed orgy. Here we go. Christmas orgy, just like the good old days. The Norse way! Anyway, that's why that one got 5 stars from me. I really, really liked it. I also loved at the end, there's like this sweet little moment. Like, there's like other things that happen. You definitely should still, if you find this conversation about this book interesting, pick this book up, because I only touched the surface of things that happen in it. At the end, there's this sweet little moment, and like Krampus is definitely just like, nobody's gonna believe in me. I should just give up. I should just give up because nobody's going to believe in me. But like next Christmas comes around, and all of the kids that they had visited had, like, they put out their shoes. They put out their shoes for him. And then all their friends did too, because they told their friends at school what happened, and that they got this cool coin thing. And so all their friends also put out their shoes. And I don't know, it made me feel all warm and happy. When your therapist needs their own therapist. All therapists need their own therapist. You should be here for Vampire Therapy Days. Those are on Saturdays. I'm playing a game called Vampire Therapist. Anyway, that was Krampus the Yule Lord. We have more, though. We have another one. I feel like this one's kind of a stretch, perhaps, but it is Christmas vibes. It is Nosferatu by Joe Hill. It is another thriller horror weird book. What did I give this? I gave this a 3.75. Thinking more back on it, I'm almost like willing. No, because that was the other thing. Was like, I was like, do I want to own this? Do I wish that this was on my bookshelf? And I think I still don't really like. I'm happy I read it. But I'm not like, yes, this goes on the bookshelf. But no, I think a 3.75 is good. I'm still there. Okay. I agree with myself. I agree with past self. So this is by Joe Hill, who we had talked about in the beginning of the stream, because I just read a book from him last week. But this is actually the first Joe Hill novel that I had picked up. I have feelings about his father that I have shared that are not bad. I don't hate Stephen King or anything like that. But, you know, Stephen King is what got me into horror, and I'm just like, he has some pitfalls in his writing that I just don't really like, and he's not writing for me, which is fine. I am not a, man in their 40s to 60s who really likes lawn care. Sorry. That's about what I feel like the general demographic for at least recent Stephen King novels have been. They watch a lot of NCIS, and they drink light beer. That seems to be the Stephen King demographic. main demographic. That's fine. I'm just not that person. That is a valid way to live if that's what you want. But that's not me. And so I don't really fuck with a lot of recent Stephen King novels. And I think that he struggles to be original from himself, and he has too much work out there. And so it kind of ends up being a lot of the same novel over and over and over and over again, with some outstanding ones. There's some really good ones, I'll give him that. But I don't know. So I definitely kind of shied away from Joe Hill just because of who his father was. I know, sins of the father should not, But I was just like, eh. And when I read this, I was like, I definitely see the influence. But it is different. My favorite thing with Joe Hill is that he's very imaginative with the fantasy elements of the stuff that he does. And I do like that. I do really like his fantasy elements. Anything that he's been doing has a lot of really good, like, solid fantasy elements that I think are fun. I think that's where the horror aspects of things come from. And then he sort of puts in a lot of, like, gritty sort of realism into these fantasy elements. They're not even, like, settings. But there's, like, an element of fantasy that is thrown into a gritty, real-life situation. With crime and violence and all that stuff. And it seems to be his go-to, at least in the 2 books I've read. Anyway, but this one, I say that this is a story in which Christmas represents childhood innocence and how people can either cherish it or exploit it. It starts off with our main character, Vic McQueen, who at the beginning, again, Joe Hill tends to do very long, sprawling timelines. So Vic McQueen, Victoria, she goes by Vic, is a child. She's kind of a tomboy, and her father is an alcoholic who is just kind of like living life. And her mother works really, really hard to try to keep everything together. As a result, though, for like taking too many jobs and trying to control her husband's erratic behavior, she's not very affectionate, or I don't know, she's just not super involved with Vic outside of like telling her what to do. But doesn't mean that she doesn't love her or anything with it, like that. But it does mean that Vic, because she's a child, prefers her father. Which is fair. She's gifted her first bike. It's a Rowley, I think. It's for her birthday. It is way too big for her. She does not fit in this bike, and it goes way too fast. And it is kind of a dangerous bike for a girl of her size. And it's her dad who gives it to her. Obviously does not talk to mom about this. And he's just like, no, you'll grow into it. You'll be fine. So she rides it around in the trails behind her house. Over there used to be like this covered footbridge. I think it was a footbridge. That was really worn down and like falling apart, like dilapidated as hell. And it ends up being torn down. It was dangerous, so obviously they tear it down. She called it the shorter way, which is, or maybe other people called it that too, just the shorter way bridge. It is a little tiny, shortcut. Is a shortcut that everybody was taking for a while, which is kind of cool. But unfortunately, it did have to be torn down. But one day when Vic and her family, they came home from a day trip to the beach. They lived in Maine too, I think. So they were close to the beach. So it was a day trip to the beach. They came back, and her mother realizes that her bracelet has gone missing. And of course, her parents fight over it. They fight all the time, though. But Vic doesn't like that they're fighting about it, and she's upset. So she goes and she takes her bike out to the back and is riding there. And she keeps on thinking about how she wishes she could find the bracelet. And she's like thinking really hard of like where the bracelet might be. And while she's riding, and all of a sudden, the bridge appears to her. Yeah, fighting parents are always fun. The bridge appears out of nowhere. And so she decides to take the bridge. Because, like, she sees bridge pop out. Bridge shouldn't be there, but, like, she's like, okay, what's this doing here? Well, let's take the bridge. Obviously we go, right? Fuck it, we ball. In this case, fuck it, we bike. And so he bikes across the bridge, and the experience of biking across the bridge is really weird. You can sort of see through the like slats of wood and where places are kind of broken or worn down. She can see out through it, and instead of seeing like the outside and trees and stuff like that, she sees what looks like static from a television. Which, you know, alarming. And she's starting to feel some pain in her head behind her eye. But she gets over it, and she goes across the bridge, and she returns to this restaurant. Primo Subs, I think is the name of it. That they go to whenever they go by the beach. She goes inside because she's like, what the fuck is going on? Except she's a child, so she doesn't think that. She thinks, golly gosh darn, what is happening? I don't know what she thinks. But she goes and the owner's like, oh, you came back, great, hold on. And he hands her the bracelet out of this safe, being like, I was hoping you guys would come back to get the bracelet. Here you go. She's like, thank you. But she feels like she's gonna vomit. And then she goes back over the bridge, and it takes her back home. And then I wrote something down that I can't read. Ooh. It has consequences, though. She doesn't go away scot-free. Like I said, she's starting to feel pain in her head. That pain gets way worse. But then she also gets, like, very sick. She has a very high fever. And she ends up being sick for a little bit, to the point that her parents are really concerned. Like, should we take her to the hospital? But she gets over it pretty quickly. And she tests this thing a little bit more as she grows up. And she finds that she can always make her bridge appear if she needs to find something that is lost. Now, at the same time, there's the antagonist of the story. His name is Charlie Manx. We actually see him first in... There's a shifting timeline with this, but we see him first in present day. And it is a really fucked up and creepy scene. We're not going to read it, but it was a crazy scene. So prepare yourself for that. Holy shit. But Charlie Manx has been alive for what feels like forever. I don't remember. I think it says it in the book when he was born. But he should not be alive. No way, no how. He claims to love children. He had children of his own. But I personally think that he's not capable of loving anything. He has powers that are similar to Vic. But instead of using those powers to help people by finding lost items, he serves himself and creates this cosmic location, like a what did they call that? When you astral, like a astral projection. Hi, Fort, welcome. I hope you are having a good time after your vacation. It's like an astral place, but he physically is capable to go there because of his gift. And he makes this place called Christmas Land, where it is almost like a theme park based on Christmas. And every day is Christmas, and there's snow and rides and candy, and it's a fun time for everyone because Christmas is the happiest thing he can think of, and he thinks that that's what children deserve. And he kidnaps children. He sort of, I don't know if he gaslights everybody, but he gaslights his assistant, and maybe himself, to believe that the children are not in a good position and they need to be saved. And by kidnapping them and taking them to Christmas Land, where they will always be happy, they will be saving them from their parents, who would only end up hurting them. Even if they're not currently abusing them, they're going to abuse them at some point. So we have to save them from the children, from their awful. We have to save the children from their awful parents and bring them to Christmas Land. But what it does is it feeds off of them. It takes all of their sweetness and innocence that they may have had, and their childhood, and it drains from them, and it turns them into these literal monsters, like scary little monsters. And they have like little hook teeth, and they really love murder. They really like it a lot. They're big fans of murder games. They have like little fun games that they say that they play, which is like stab the homeless guy. Hee, won't that be so fun? Come and join us in Christmas Land. So I find Charlie Minx also a little vampire-y because of that, because he's feeding off the kids in that way, but he's like feeding off of them like psychically and turning them into the little monsters. And I don't know, he's a little vampire-y. Stan the homeless guy, a timeless holiday game. I agree for it. How fun. He has this car that is a supernatural 1938 Rolls Royce that he has. I don't know how he's tricked it out supernaturally, but like it does. The back locks up, and only certain things can. I don't really remember how it works, but he uses his gift to make the Rolls Royce a prison for a little while, which is kind of fun, I guess, for him. They call it the Wraith, and then he is also called the Wraith. But the plates on the Rolls Royce are Nosferatu. No, this is the plate on the Rolls Royce right there. That, and that's where the name of the book comes from. They said it. They said the thing. It's magic. You don't have to explain shit. Yeah, it's just magic. Although I do think when you can explain your magic system, it you know, I prefer a little bit more of a hard magic than the soft magic. I'm gonna take a little break on going through the story right now because we are in ads. If you want to subscribe to me, you can, and then you wouldn't have ads, and you can have these little things. But otherwise, actually, I don't know. Part of me is like, maybe I take a break and go stand for a second and stretch and stuff. Yeah, let's do that. Be right back. Be right back. Enjoy, and you go get a snack. Go get a snack, everybody. I'll be right back. I'm back. You guys are almost back if you're not already back. I'm here. Give me a second. I have to get my headphones. There you go. Here. We're back. Hi, Fort. I named you. I just want you to remember. I want you to remember that when you hit me with your dad jokes. And the cackling TB. I know. But that's it. Oh, okay. Well. Okay. Where are we at with it? Where are my notes? The notes that I worked so hard on. Okay, we're gonna have a thing. Okay. Right. Okay. So we were talking. So that's where the name comes from. Is that is the license plate on his murder mobile. The Wraith. Minx also has a lackey. Somebody who is easily manipulated. He always has one, it seems. Through all the years that he's been doing this, he tends to pick up somebody to assist him, and he always tries to find some brutish kind of man who can be easily manipulated, so that he can control them. And this time it is Bing Partridge. He is an intellectually handicapped man with a lot of sexually fueled violent tendencies. He killed his own parents, and he deals with the kids' parents mostly, in various ways that I did not love. Definitely big sexual assault trigger warning here. Just a lot of it, and just the ways that he says the things. And I personally, this was the one thing that like I really disliked about this, was that I didn't love the portrayal of an intellectually handicapped man, which I realize that there is that sexual violence is common in intellectual handicapped people who are not receiving adequate treatment and care. And I know that that's a thing that does happen. But I just, it kind of reminds me of like, every time there was a serial killer, he had like some, what is the big one? Schizophrenia. The serial killers all have schizophrenia, and so then everybody's like, schizophrenia is a serial killer thing. And I don't know. Sexual violence is common in general, unfortunately. That's true, Lost. But I just, like, I don't know. I just didn't love that. I didn't like the way that, like, why it felt exploitative to use an intellectually handicapped person in this way, when that was the only thing I didn't like about it, though. That was like the big, like, this is turning me off of this book. Well, the rest of it I really enjoyed, so I just kind of like tried to think past that, and then also was like, okay, yes, I don't love this portrayal, but this is something that could feasibly happen to somebody if the supernatural elements were a thing. And the stigmatization of schizophrenia is not good for people who have the condition and genuinely need help. Exactly. And I don't want... There is a stigma... There's a stigma... Oh, we're going to say it. We're going to say it, and it's going to be fine. There is a stigmatization. Ooh, look at that. She did it. Good job, Callie. With intellectually handicapped people, especially young men, because this is the sexual violence is common and commonly portrayed, and it's just like, that's not the way that all people with different intellectual handicaps have. And then like the fact that this, you don't know what his condition actually is, you can't know like somebody with Down syndrome would not exhibit this, but you might consider them, oh, well, they have an intellectual handicap, so you're not safe around a man who has Down syndrome, which is just not true. So, I don't know. I didn't love it. I wish he was just a brutish guy and not obviously handicapped in that way. Just as a disability advocate myself, it made me uncomfortable, but that's fine. We'll let him have it. He's named after Bing Crosby also. Fun things. He's not a huge part of the book, but he is in it quite often. There's a lot of scenes from his point of view, and he is gross. He's gross, but if you can get past it, then it's fine. And I don't think all things in a horror book need to be comfortable, by the way. So, like, it's fine. But, like, knowing early on that he is sexually violent and he murdered his parents and did things to his mother, and knowing that early on, which you do get a part from him pretty early on, does help you prepare yourself for the upcoming intersections with him in it. And he dies horribly. Like, it's awful. So hooray! Yay! That was fun. At least that was a death that was enjoyable, I guess. I don't know. But yeah. So obviously there's other people in this world who have this sort of magic gift thing, and they're a little bit different from each other. So we learn more about the at least the rules of magic in this world, that there are other magic users, and it's not just Vic having a special power. So eventually Vic does meet another magic user, and this happens when she's younger. I don't think she's quite a teenager yet, but she's like in that sort of like preteen area, I think. And she has a really bad trip on the shorter way. Something happens where she tries to find, I think it was a photograph or something, and it was at school, and school was going to be closed for the summer, and she didn't want it, or like for a break or something, and she didn't want it to get thrown away or whatever. So she tries to go into the school to retrieve it. And unfortunately the custodian sees her, and he thinks he's having a mental break. And she feels really bad because, like, he has a really viscerally bad reaction to seeing her and the bridge show up in the middle of the hallway at school. And she's really upset. So she tries to clear her head and finds herself wishing for some sort of ally to help her make sense of everything that's going on and what she's going through. And that's when the shorter way comes up, and it takes her to here. When she goes through some places, there's like in like spray paint, it says where she's going to. So when she went to go find the bracelet, it said like Primo Subs. So when she was like, I just wish I could find somebody to help me, it just said here. And that ends up being here, Iowa, a small town in Iowa. As she meets Maggie Lee there, who is a young woman. She has a stutter, and she's a librarian. She has purple hair, kind of a alternative vibe. She wears these earrings that are made out of Scrabble pieces. And she's kind of cool. She's like maybe 20 years old, so she's quite young for a librarian even. And she has the gift of divination through Scrabble tiles. So she has like a bag of Scrabble tiles, and it's sort of magic. I think she showcased this by being able to like put her hand into it and like go all the way to her elbow and be like, no, it just goes on forever. But she can sort of like read people's futures and find out about events that are going to happen by using the Scrabble tiles. And so they do a reading on Vic, and Vic calls herself the brat, and that's what Maggie kind of refers to her as the brat. And the tiles come up saying the brat could help find the wraith. And Maggie is just like, nope, that's not happening. We're not doing that. She's a kid. We're not getting her involved in that motherfucker, because she knows all about him now. She's been watching him for a very long time, and he's just sort of invisible because they can't find him, because again, the wraith is kind of magic, the car, and so people can't see it unless he wants to be seen. Like, it's a distinctive car. It's a 1938 Rolls-Royce. If that was driving around your area, you would see it. You would take notice. But since that comes up, Maggie does tell her what she knows about Charlie Minx, and she but she does it more as a warning to stay away from him, because she's still a kid, so he's just going to take her. And so Maggie feels like a responsibility of like protecting her. So she's just like, yeah, Charlie Minx exists. This is what he does. He takes kids. He has a weird fucking car, and stay away from him. He says he's going to take you to a place where it's Christmas forever. Don't believe him. And that's sort of all there is to it. That's basically what that whole meeting is. And she kind of like lets her know, like, there's other people who have gifts and you're not the only one. And it sort of calms her a little bit, and she sends her back on her way. But over time, she starts to believe that all of this is just from her imagination, because it doesn't seem real. And then, like, her parents took away the bike. I think her mom did it, actually. Her mom was like, you're obsessed with this bike thing. It's getting you into trouble. You're coming home sick all the time. I don't know what it is, but something's up with this bike. So you're not allowed to use this bike anymore. And so she takes the bike and hides it. And then they're like, oh no, your bike, it got stolen. How sad. What's that? And yeah. So then, because she doesn't have the bike and she can't access the shorter way without it. So she kind of like forgets about it almost, or her mind like is like, that doesn't make sense. That's not how reality works. This is how reality works. That was just imagination. You imagined all these things. This is how it actually happened. You imagined this purple-haired librarian with a stutter. You you found the bracelet in the luggage and it just got overlooked. You know, stuff like that, so that she could like deal with the fact that these things happened in her life, and she, you know, she just didn't want it to be real, so she made it not real. And she was like, no, this is my imagination. So now Vic she's grown up into a teenager, and she's kind of a mess. Father left finally after too many fights, and he remarried, but he isn't around because of that. And because of, I guess Vic has some behavioral problems, you know? She's a teenager. What are you gonna do? She's a teenager who has denied herself her own reality for many, many years at this point. So she has some behavioral issues. She does a little bit of drugs, ecstasy mostly, weed, normal teenager things. At least it's not like heroin, But the new wife doesn't like Vic and doesn't want her around. So Dad just listens to that because he's a spineless fool. And an asshole. So they're kind of estranged from one another, and that causes more resentment and just not good stuff in Vic, who really loved her father. But now she also has issues with her mom. So she fights with her mom all the time, and she's had another fight with mom. And so she decides to handle this by running away. Experimentation or self-medication for undiagnosed psychiatric condition? Always hard to say. Kind of sounds like it, though. She tries to run away, though. She does try to run away. And she kind of like goes around, tries to get her dad to come get her, and Dad says no, which does not help the situation at all. She ends up breaking back into her house by going down into the basement because there's like a... What do they call that? The little windows that go into the basement. I don't remember the window well thing. The house has that, and one of those little windows is broken, but she can just kind of like squeeze herself into the house, so she doesn't have to sleep in it's the winter time. They don't want to sleep in the snow, so she gets down into the house for the night and like sleeps on garbage bags full of clothes that they mean to donate, but you never actually get it to the donation place. And keeps herself warm with like an old coat from there. And while she's down there, she finds her old bike, the rally, and she's like, "Oh hey, I thought this was stolen. No, I was just lied to, apparently." And so she takes the bike out, and she's just like, "I was gonna ride it. It's a little bit too small for me now, but whatever. I got my bike back. I'm gonna go cause trouble." And she's trying to like find places to cause trouble, and she ends up like thinking about how she wants to upset her mom because now she's been away. She had overheard her mom being upset that she wasn't found yet, and that I guess Dad had heard from her but didn't do anything, and so now she doesn't know where her daughter is. And she's like, "Yeah, Mom, you should be upset that I'm gone." And she's like thinking these really demented thoughts about finding a way to get kidnapped and murdered, and that'll show her, "Damn it, Mom, I'll go get kidnapped and murdered, and then what will you do?" And in her subconscious mind, she thinks of kidnapped, she thinks of the Wraith. And so that's when the shorter way appears for the first time in many, many years, with all her teen angst. And so that brings back all of the memories, and she's like, "Oh wait, okay. Holy shit, all this stuff that I've been suppressing is actually real." And it reminds her of what she knows about Charlie Manx and all of that stuff. And then the bridge takes her to find the Wraith. So she follows the bridge, and she ends up at this place called the Sleigh House. The Sleigh House is an old, run-down looking house that is decorated for Christmas, obviously. And when she's there, she does find the Wraith in the garage. She's about to get away when she sees something in the back seat. And now we have an excerpt. It's time for me to read again. Aren't you excited? Let me pull it up for you. Oh, I did pull it up for you already. Good job, Callie. This starts on page 113 in my book, which may be different from other editions. But around that time, it's in the chapter called The Other End of the Bridge in Sleigh House 1996, which is when this happened. Okay. The Rolls had a roomy rear compartment. The back couch done in flesh-toned kidskin. Oof. That's a bad name for... okay, for your kidnapped vehicle. A boy slept upon it. He wore a rawhide jacket with buttons of bone. He had dark hair and a round, fleshy face, his cheeks touched with the rose bloom of health. He looked as if he were dreaming sweet dreams, visions of sugar plums, perhaps. He wasn't tied up in any way, and didn't look unhappy, and Vic thought that made no sense. He's fine. You should go. He probably is here with his father, and he fell asleep, and his father is letting him rest. You should just go away. Vic flinched from a thought, the way she might have flinched from a horsefly. There was something wrong with the thought. It had no business in her head, and she didn't know how it had got there. The Shortaway Bridge had brought her here to find the Wraith, a bad man who hurt people. She had gone looking for trouble, and the bridge had never pointed her wrong. In the last few minutes, things she had suppressed for years had come surging back. Maggie Lee had been real, not a daydream. Vic really had gone out on her mic to retrieve her mother's bracelet from Terry's Primo Subs. And she had not been imagined, but all of these things had not been imagined, but accomplished. She tapped on the glass. The child did not stir. He was younger than her, 12 or thereabouts. There was a faint, dusky wisp of hair on his upper lip. "Hey," he called out to him in a low voice. "Hey, kid." He shifted, but only to roll onto his side, though his face was turned away from her. Vic tried the door. It was locked from the inside. The steering wheel was on the right side of the car, the side she was already on. The driver's window was rolled most of the way down. Vic shuffled towards it. There wasn't much space between the car and the cluttered piled up against the wall. The keys were in it, the car running off the battery. The face of the radio was lit a radioactive shade of green. Vic didn't know who was singing now, some old Vegas dude, but it was another one about Christmas. Christmas was almost 3 months in the rearview mirror, and there was something awful about Christmas music when it was nearly summer. It was like a clown in the rain with his makeup running. "Hey, kid," she hissed. "Hey, kid, wake up." The boy moved slightly. Then he sat up and turned around to face her. Vic saw his face and had to bite back a cry. It wasn't anything like the face she had seen through the rear window. The boy in the car looked close to death, beyond death. His face was lunar in its paleness, except for the hollows of his eyes, which were bruise-colored. Black poison veins crawled beneath his skin, as if his arteries were filled with ink, not blood, and erupted in sick branches around the corners of his mouth and eyes and at his temples. His hair was the color of frost on a window pane. He blinked. His eyes were shiny, curious. The one part of him that seemed fully alive. He exhaled white smoke, as if he stood in a freezer. "Who are you?" he asked. Each word was a new puff of white vapor. "You shouldn't be here." "Why are you so cold?" "I'm not," he said. "You should go." "It isn't safe here," his breath steaming. "Oh, God, kid," she said. "Let's get you out of here. Come on, come with me." "I can't unlock the door." "So climb into the front seat," she said. "I can't," he said again. He spoke like one sedated, and it came to Vic that he had been drugged. Could a drug lower your body temperature enough to make your breath steam? She didn't think so. "I can't leave the back seat. You really shouldn't be here. He'll come back soon." White frozen air trickled from his nostrils. Vic heard him clearly enough, but didn't understand much of it, except for the last bit. "He'll come back soon." That made perfect sense. Of course, he was coming back, whoever he was, the Wraith. He wouldn't have left the car running off the battery if he wasn't going to be back soon, and she had to be gone by the time he returned. They both did. She wanted more than anything to take off, to bolt for the door, tell the kids she would come back with the police. But she could not go. If she ran, she would not just be leaving a sick and abducted child behind. She would be abandoning her own best self, too. She reached through the window to unlock the front door and swung it open. Come on, take my hand. She reached back over the driver's seat into the rear compartment. He looked into her palm for a moment, his gaze thoughtful, as if he were attempting to read her future, or as if she had offered him a chocolate and he was trying to decide whether he wanted it. That was the wrong way for a kidnapped child to react, and she knew it, but she still didn't pull her hand back in time. He gripped her wrist, and she screamed at his touch. His hand, blazing against her skin, was as bad as pressing her wrist against a hot frying pan. It took her an instant to register the sensation not as heat, but as cold. The horn sounded with a great blast. In the confined space of the garage, the noise was almost too much to bear. Vic didn't know why it went off. She hadn't touched the steering wheel. "Let go! You're hurting me," she said. "I know," he said. When he smiled, she saw that his mouth was full of little hooks, rows of them, each as small and delicate as a sewing needle. The rows of them seemed to go all the way down his throat. The horn sounded again. The boy raised his voice and shouted, "Mr. Manx! Mr. Manx! I caught a girl! Mr. Manx, come see!" Vic braced a foot against the driver's seat and threw herself backward, thrusting hard with her leg. The boy was yanked forward. She didn't think he was going to let go. His hand felt as if it were fused to her wrist, his skin frozen to hers. But when she drew her hand back across the rear divider into the front seat, he released her. He fell back into the steering wheel, and the horn went off again. Her fault this time. The boy hopped up and down in the rear seat in excitement. "Mr. Manx! Mr. Manx! Come see the pretty girl!" Vapor extruded from his nostrils and mouth. Vic dropped out of the open driver's side door and onto the concrete. Her shoulder hit a mess of stacked rakes and snow shovels, and they fell over on top of her with a crash. The horn went off again and again, a series of deafening blasts. Vic shoved the lawn tools off of her. When she was on her knees, she looked at her wrist. It was hideous, a black burn in the rough shape of a child's hand. She slammed the driver's side door and took one last glance at the boy in the back seat. His face was eager, glistening with excitement. A black tongue lolled out of his mouth and rolled around his lips. "Mr. Manx! She's running away!" he screamed, his breath frosted over the window glass. "Come see! Come see!" She picked herself up and took one clumsy off-balance step back towards the side door of the yard. The motor that ran the electric garage door roared to life, a chain overhead pulling it up with a grinding clatter. Vic caught herself, then began going back fast as she could. The big garage door rose and rose, revealing black boots, silver-gray trousers, and she thought, "The Wraith, it's the Wraith." Vic lurched around to the front of the car. 2 steps led up to the door, and she knew would be open into the house itself. The knob turned, the door eased back into darkness. Vic stepped through and pushed the door shut behind her and began to move across the mudroom. Yay! Oh, the green radioactive thing. Yeah, I don't really... Radium is sort of phosphorus. Yeah, the radioactive thingies do kind of the weird milk glass looking stuff. Okay, now I'm interested. Yeah, okay, so where are my notes? Notes. I have more. Yeah. So where does Vic run? She runs into the fucking house. Into the sleigh house. And I mean, she didn't really have anywhere else she could have gone because, like, Mr. Manx was there. Manx was there. He was gonna get her if she didn't run there, so she didn't really have any other choice. But she goes into the house, and now she's in the house. The murder man's house. And she's 17 at this point. She's too old for him now. And that's gross. I didn't like the way that came out. Anyway, but you know, whatever. She gets cornered in the house, obviously. And she, the only way that she can figure out how to save herself from being captured by Manx or the child, or I think Bing is there too, but I can't remember. She sets the kitchen on fire. Again, she's 17. We will give her a tiny itty bitty break. She sets the kitchen on fire, and then she gets herself cornered into the kitchen while it's on fire and into a laundry closet that's like it's part pantry, part laundry room that's right off of the kitchen. And I think Bing has to have been there because he moves the refrigerator in front of the door so she can't get out. And then they're like, oh, sucks to be you. You're stuck there when the house is on fire. But she's able to escape because she climbs up a laundry chute into the second floor. Well, the laundry chute is hot. That whole entire scene is crazy. Crazy read. Very, very heart-pumping, crazy. What the fuck? And she's like being burned by the laundry chute as she's trying to climb up, and her lungs are being filled with smoke as it's starting to seep in and stuff like that. And she's able to get to the second story, and she's able to escape out into the outside, where I'm assuming Manx and Bing and Demon Child had to leave. Well, obviously they were leaving because they didn't want the a fire happens eventually. The fire brigade will be there, so I guess they weren't there, so she was able to get away. Thank God. But when she runs up a hill and ends up in like a highway, and some guy goes past in a motorcycle, and she kind of like has a soft spot in her heart for motorcycle people because her dad also rode a motorcycle. So I don't know, I guess she saw a guy in a motorcycle and was like, he's trustworthy. Thank God he was trustworthy though. She stops him and she's like, I just escaped from this guy's house and he kidnapped me and we need to go. And he's like, okay, hop on. And he like takes her and to safety, what relative safety. They think they stop at a gas station and they're like, it's 1996, so there's no cell phones. Well, I guess there are cell phones, but not very many. Are there cell phones in 1996? I think so. There were cell phones in the 80s, but they were those big clunky ones. But most people didn't have a cell phone. Anyway, I'm getting off track. As I do. Yeah, they were expensive. And this guy, he's a young man. Another one who was like, he might have been like 19, 20, maybe. That would have been a bit of a stretch though. So he's not that much older than Vic herself. But he gets her and takes her, and they go to a gas station. And he's trying to tell everybody what happened to her because she's obviously injured and she just escaped a fire and her clothing is singed and stuff like that. So, while they're trying to like get the police to come, they've called the police, and while they're waiting, the Rolls Royce comes up and he's there. And she's like, oh, fuck, he found me. Oh, shit, what do we do? what do we do? And she tells them, and they go, a bunch of the men are like, you just wait here, sweetheart, we'll protect you. And they go and they're able to hold him, and he actually gets arrested. He gets arrested, and she understands that she can't tell them what actually happened because nobody would believe that. So she goes with the story that she was kidnapped, which fits in because she's been missing for well over 24 hours at this point. So it's probably been a while. Yeah. I don't remember how long, but it's been well over 24 hours that she's been missing. And so when she can make up the story that he kidnapped her and brought her there, and that she escaped and there was the fire and stuff like that, and he goes with that story because he does kidnap children. And so then they like go to his place and they find evidence that he had murdered some parents, and also the children are missing, and he has something to do with them, and so he gets charged with the kidnap and murder of like a lot of children, and including her kidnap as well. Pretty neat. It seems like a good solid ending to the story, but of course that's not the end. That's not where we end. This is a long book. Another sprawling Joe Hill book. Joe Hill timelines, Yeah. So Vic grows up into an adult. This is like the third act of the story. It's sort of three acts. Sort of four. There's like one little bit at the end that you could say is the fourth act, but it's very, very short. Very short. She grows up into an adult. She's also gotten herself to once again convince herself that the whole supernatural elements of her life are not real, are figments of her imagination. That she, in fact, is just mentally ill. And that explains all of this. Just mentally ill, and all of these are just parts of her imagination, and she maybe has schizophrenia. She's not sure. She's just like, okay, I'm just mentally ill. That's what this is. She does end up marrying. No, they don't marry. She gets together. She gets together with the guy who was on the bike who sort of saved her. His name is Lou Carmody. And he was a young man at the time, and now he's less of a young man. They build this little life together. He's he's a bike guy, so he's into the mechanic side of bikes. So he has a little business of fixing up bikes and building bikes. And she ends up becoming an artist. And she finds that the art really sort of is healing for her. So when she starts having things that she considers delusions, she doing art sort of helps it. So she starts doing like custom detailing, and she makes like, I don't know, the bike body art, of a custom art. I don't know exactly what that's called, but she does that with him, and that's what they do with their little life together, and it's sort of nice. And they end up having a kid together. His name is Wayne. And she does have things that she considers delusions, though, that are references to the things that she saw, and mostly Christmas Land. And they always come in the form of children calling, the phone ringing, and it being children on the other side saying, "You lied about our daddy, and you are gonna pay for it. How could you lie? We're here in Christmas Land all by ourselves, and we're so hungry because our daddy isn't here to feed us. How dare you? We're gonna get you. And stuff like that. That's what they say. And she's like, delusions, because I am mentally ill. And so when the calls come back and they're coming out of full force, eventually the only thing that really helps with it is alcohol. So she turns to alcohol, much like her father did. She's running that again. And she has a particularly bad episode. She's like spiraling this whole time, to be fair. But and Lou is kind of like real concerned about her and is like, hey, maybe we get you some help. And she's like, no, I can't leave the house because of the phone calls. What if the phone calls? And he's like, okay, the phone calls? Are you okay? And so he's really concerned. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna take baby boy. I think he's like a toddler at this point, but like, or maybe like preschool aged. I can't quite remember. It's been a couple of years. He's speaking though. He's able to speak and eat food, so he's not like a baby. But Lou's like, I'm gonna take baby boy, and we're gonna go visit my mom. And I think that maybe you should visit your mom. And she's like, no, I can't. I have too much stuff I have to do. And he's like, okay, well, we're still going to do that. And so when they're gone, she has a really particularly bad episode, or what she considers an episode. And it's kind of a crazy one where the phone keeps on ringing. And then, like, it doesn't matter. She thinks that she got rid of all of the phones. She refuses to have a phone in the house. She thinks she got rid of them, but then every single toy phone or thing that might have a phone in it, like a toy house or a firehouse or something like that, it has phones in it, and she hears them ringing, and they keep on trying to call her, and they won't leave her alone. So she gathers everything that could possibly be a phone in her home and puts them in an oven. Because obviously that will fix it. You know, turns the oven on, and it's like, you'll destroy all the phones, and then they can't call me. Can't call me if all the phones are gone. Haha, I win. And then it sets fire to the house, and she's like, I gotta leave. And so she does leave, and she's drunk. And, you know, just things go awry with that whole situation. I think she ends up getting arrested. And she gets herself checked into a like rehab but psychiatric facility because she's like, something's not good here. And she at that time decides that she needs to leave Lou because she's just gonna ruin his life, and she's going to somehow hurt her son. So she's not a good mother. What was she thinking, allowing herself to think that she could be a mom? I need to move on from this, you know? So she leaves Lou, and she's scared of hurting her family. She thinks they're better off without him. Later on, I guess years later, I think it's years later, but I can't quite remember. That has to be years later. But like, Wayne is about 12 years old, and Vic has things mostly under control. She has started to use her art crutch a little bit more. Has been using it for a long time, and she starts making these visual puzzle books for kids that has this little robot character, and they're actually quite popular. And she's made like 3 or 4 of these books, and they do well. So that's kind of like what her life is now, is making these books, and she sort of has her shit together. She feels pretty good. And Lou is like, you need to take the kid for the summer because he wants to see his mom. He loves you. He needs to see you. And she's like, okay, I feel like I'm at a good place to have him. So I'll have him for the summer. And she decides what she's trying to figure out what she wants to do. She ends up seeing her mom for the first time in a really long time. and she's like, I think I'm gonna buy this house. I think I'm gonna buy this house that's out in the by a lake, this lake that we used to go to. So we'll go. I'm gonna buy this house. I'm gonna fix it up, and then I'll fix it up over the summer, and me and Wayne will be there, and that'll be like our thing that we do. Wayne is pumped about this. He flies over because I think that they live. I think they regularly live in like the LA area or something, somewhere in California. And so he brings his dog, and they come, and they're there, and he's really excited, and Vic is excited too, but she's super anxious. At the same time that all of this is happening, Charlie Minx is somehow still alive. He's in prison, and he's not doing well because, well, he can't exactly kidnap children anymore, but he has nobody to feed off of, and Christmas Land is dying, so then the little monsters are also dying, and he's also dying, and so, at some point, he does appear to die, but before they can do an autopsy, Bing comes in, who has been lying in wait for the whole time, and somehow gets word that he needs to act at this point, and he steals Minx's body and begins nursing it back to life. I assume by doing some murder. That's not really explained. But I assume Minx does some murder, and that helps to feed our little vampire man. Our little vampire Christmas man. Vampire Saint Nick. Lots of vampires happening in my life right now. I keep getting vampire stuff. Okay. That whole place is that when that happens is also weird, and like sex stuff with corpses, man. I don't know. That's a little freaky. I don't know. Weird people are in this book, and I don't like it. Okay, so Vic starts when Vic and Wayne are like doing their thing. It sort of seems promising. Oh, I forgot to mention, Vic's mother also dies before any of this stuff happens. He visits her and is like, "Hey, this is what I'm gonna do." And Vic's mom's like, "Hey, sounds good. You see, you're doing good." And then she dies, which is sad, but you know, people die. Ugh. Things are promising with her son, though. They're having a pretty good time. And in this time, she starts working on a different robot book with a sort of Christmas theme so that she can, like, really focus and help keep her delusions at bay. But then the calls are sort of starting again. She has him in some, like, day program thing, so he's not there in the day so that she can do work. But the calls start again, and so she's like needs to escalate how she's able to like deal with it. So, she starts repairing a motorcycle. I don't remember where the motorcycle came from, but yeah, she's repairing this motorcycle, and it's a thing that she and the kid do. Wayne, that's his name. He and Wayne are working on that motorcycle together, and so it's sort of like a bonding thing. It's helping to keep her grounded in reality. And now we have ads again. I didn't pay attention to that. Could have probably muted it, but I didn't. I didn't mute it. Anyway, hello subscribers. How you doing? Are we having fun? Or is this boring? It could be boring. I don't know. I have fun doing these. think they're fun. Oh, good. The Discord. I was going to say something about it. I didn't, though. What short came out today? Was it a dog one? Yeah, I think it's the dog one. Oops. I like dogs. I like dogs. They're nice. I think you know I like dogs because of the way that I reacted when I was able to pet the dog. Me actually getting to pet the dog was a whole thing. I cried. My reaction was slightly explosive that day. I really like dogs though. They're so cute and fluffy. Unless they're jumping up on with me and trying to like prevent me from making food. I was making sandwiches today. I was making sandwiches, and here comes Uriel. He jumps up on the couch with me while I'm making the sandwiches, and he's like hovering over the food, and I'm like, no, we do not need to have the added ingredient of your dog drool. Sit the fuck down, get down. And he like refuses to listen to me because he's a husky, and they don't do that. And I'm like forcing him, and I get so tired of his shit when he does stuff like that. And he's just like, no, I need to eat it. And then he does a thing where, like, if I'm eating, or pretty much anytime I'm eating, he sits down next to me and he leans his, like, he rests his arm or his head on my arm, my left arm. So, like, I can't use my left hand for eating. And that's on that. Sometimes I need my left hand to eat, you know? Sometimes I need my left hand to eat. It's unfortunate, I know. Okay. Alright, we're back. Let's go back. Wrong thing. This thing. Okay. Alright. Okay, so she's repairing this motorcycle to try to give her some extra stability on reality. Then Maggie shows up. They're gonna celebrate the 4th of July, so they left the lake house and they went back to what her mother's house was, which is now her house actually because her mom died. And they were just gonna stay there and celebrate the 4th of July because that was closer to the airport, and Lou was coming in to celebrate 4th of July with them. And Maggie shows up there when they get there, and she's there to warn her that Manx is back. But Vic doesn't remember her, and you know, she has convinced herself that all of that stuff has been figments of her imagination, and she sort of blows her off. But then Wayne sees the folder of the files that Maggie had tried to give to Vic, and he learns about Manx, and he obviously has some questions. As the moment that he finds that and like is reading through it and stuff like that, he's wants to go to the neighbor's house, but that's where Bing and Manx actually are. Bing murdered the neighbors and took over the house because he knew that's where Vic was, and Manx wants to get revenge for what Vic has done to him. So they're there, but he's not strong enough yet. But there's like this really tense scene where Wayne is about to go knock on the door, and you know, that would have been bad. But then Lou shows up and he's like, "Ah, Dad, you're here! I'm so happy." But yeah, Lou shows up and kind of saves that sort of situation. But he's also there to kind of like give support, because Vic feels like she's not doing well, and so he's like, look, I'm gonna be here. I'll take the kid for like a night, and we'll have a good time together because I'm sure we miss each other and stuff like that. And then I'll give you some time to like take a breath and figure your stuff out. You don't need to do this alone. We are still a team. It's kind of he's so great. I love Lou. But yeah, obviously Wayne has a whole bunch of questions now. He has questions. Who's this Minx guy? But Wayne's questions bring a lot of doubt into Vic's mind about what happened, because she's not really talked about it at all, and like she has a conversation with Lou about it, and Lou's like, look, I just didn't want to pressure you. I figured if you ever wanted to talk about it, you would. But if you didn't want to, I didn't want to push you to. And she's like, I don't really remember being kidnapped. And the stuff that are supposed to be her delusions are the things that actually feel real. Whereas the other stuff, she doesn't have any memory of them. And he's like, I don't know what to do about that, man, but like, that sounds rough. He's supportive, but he doesn't know what to do about that, so that's fine. And then Vic and Wayne, after that holiday, they go back to the lake. And Lou goes to the airport to go back home. And they're at the lake then, so it's Vic and Wayne at the lake, and they start working on the bike again that day, and they actually get the bike to work. So she takes it for a little ride. And the shorter way appears to her. I don't remember what she was thinking about, like the lost thing that was needed. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what the shorter way was going to take her to. She was thinking about, her troubles, so there's probably something in there. But I can't remember the exact detail of what it was. But the shorter way appears to her, and she freaks the fuck out, and she crashes the motorcycle, and it breaks. So then she has to pick up the motorcycle and wheel it back home. And of course, this is when Minx shows up to try to kidnap Wayne. Minx decides that revenge would work by taking Vic's son, since Vic is no longer old enough for Christmas Land. So, and he also says that, oh, she's a liar, and she's a bad person because she put me in jail based on lies, so obviously she's a bad mother. So really, we're saving Wayne. They come, and so I know we just talked about how much I love dogs and how we should always pet dogs, and dogs are the greatest. So warning, there's a dog death here, and it's very upsetting. I'm not gonna go into detail about it because I don't want to. Humans die, that's fine. Dog dies? No. It's pretty bad. He's the worst person in the world. Worst person ever. Wayne does try to fight back, though, but he still gets captured into the car with Bing, and then Vic gets there just in time to try to save him, but that's when Minx attacks her. It's with like a bone hammer, I think was what it was. It was a weird hammer thing that he also used on the dog. He goes to attack her with it now, and she tries to fight back, but she's not doing a great job of it, and he like really does some damage to her. Bing tries to make Wayne watch as his mother is murdered, but Wayne fights back, and he isn't able to he's not able to stop them, but because he's fighting, when Vic finally gets into a position where she can like try to shoot him. I guess she had a gun, or she got a gun somehow, and she tries to shoot him. Bing isn't able to react in time to try to get to Manx, and he ends up getting his ear shot off, which is gross. It was bloody and awful. It was icky, yucky. And but she's able to take that moment to get away because they're both focused on the fact that his ear got blown off. I don't know when this was written, but I don't know. I just got some Donald Trump vibes because of the ear being shot off. Probably a coincidence. I think it's a coincidence because I think this came out in like, when is? Oh, it's right here, 2013. So yeah, coincidence. But yeah, she's able to get away. Wayne yells at her to run to get away because he's like, you can't exactly save me if you're dead. And then she runs and she hides under a dock so they can't shoot her, or they can't find her. Goes under a dock at the lake. So it's I don't know, it's a pretty shitty situation she has. So they take her son away, and at the same time, Wayne was able, well, during the struggle of everything, was able to get his cell phone out that he had on his body, and he calls his dad. And he's like, hey, this is happening. I'm being kidnapped. Mom's getting the shit beaten out of her. Just so you know, that's what's going on. And he's at the airport, and he's a really obese man, and he has a heart attack. It's really awful from this news, but he like trudges, it just like keeps on going, and is like, no, I gotta get back to save my family. I don't know. He has an oversized heart for sure in many ways. Poor Lou. Did love him though. I loved Lou. He doesn't die from this, but he's like, he has a heart attack, and he's like, I gotta get out of this hospital. I gotta go, or I don't need hospital. I need my son and my gal, who definitely left me, but I still love her. And she needs me right now. So he goes, and they get the police involved and everything, and from there it becomes a story of Vic reclaiming her truth and her power and her gift, and using it to save her son. And it's a beautiful story. And it's set in the land of Christmas that she ultimately needs to blow up. And she does, because her dad, by the way, works as a bomb manufacturer for I think it was specifically for, oh, what is that called? We've talked about it before here too. When they explode mountains to get the resources instead of mining. Strip mining. I think he made bombs for strip mining. I think that's what his job was. So her plan is to go literally blow up Christmas land. And that's what she aims to do, and it's the story of how she gets to try to do that. And will she get her son back? Who knows? But I really love the story. It's a story of motherhood as well, because she believes she's a bad mother because she has all of these difficulties. But she so fiercely loves her son in a way that she never felt, and just wanted to protect him even from herself. And I don't know, I think that it's such a wonderful story of complicated motherhood it's that story again. What I said in the beginning was that Christmas becomes the representation of childhood innocence, and how some people can either cherish that and want to protect it and find it a sacred thing, or how they exploit it and literally feed off of it and make it something awful. Oh, okay. Okay. That's good because we have another thing. That's fine. We have another book. So, again, I did not tell you everything. You don't know the ending. Because there's just no time. No time to go over the whole book. But that is, I got you to the beginning of, I would say, I got you to like the halfway point, so now the actual story is really like set into motion. And there's just so much more. There's so much more that I didn't get to talk about because it was just it really is a good book. I know I gave it a 3.75, but that's just because of the little things in it that really did bother me. I just don't want it on my shelf. That's it. It's still a good book. This is, when you're in the 3.0 range, that means I had fun. I had a good time. I'm glad I read this book. But, yeah, maybe not my favorite. And, you know, it's loosely related to Christmas because of the Christmas Land thing. And there's a lot of references to Christmas. So if you are looking for a thrilling, spooky good time for this week while you are, you know, trimming your tree, baking your cookies or whatever it is you do, I suggest it. This is your kind of thing. I would prefer Krampus, but that was just my favorite out of the bunch. Okay, last one. This will be a little bit shorter. This one is an anthology. A winter solstice anthology is what they call it. Of short stories that have to do with Christmas or other wintertime holidays. So solstice, and there's a Hanukkah one in there that's kind of weird. But I did really like it. It has a whole bunch of pretty well-known horror authors. So there's Stephen Graham, Alma Katsu, it says on here. There's holy crap. Tananarive Due. I don't know what happened to me there. Which had a really fun one. I really like her. There's Josh Malerman, also another one who we've talked about before. That I also really like him. And then a bunch of people who I didn't actually know, who also had really interesting ones. This one I think is good. I can't remember how many stories in total there are. But there are probably around 12. I'm trying. Hold on. I'll go to good time. 22. That's not the right. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18. Okay, there's 18 stories. So not enough for you to do one story a night as a sort of like advent calendar thing, which would have been smart. Ellen Datlow, listening here, that would have been super smart. You do a little like advent calendar spooky story. Somebody else needs to get on that. But the stories were still really good. There wasn't really one that I didn't like. But I think my favorite one was the first one, and I think that's the one that I would like to focus on. This one is called The Importance of a Tidy Home by Christopher Golden. And like there is a strong part of me that just wants to read you guys the whole story, but I don't know if I should. It's kind of long. Or a little long. Yeah, there's 16 pages. It would be a long stream and you're not paid to be an audiobook narrator. It's only 16 pages. It's not that long. So I was going to read you guys a little bit of it, but I'll give you the background on it. And I'll get you to like a good juicy spooky bit, or a juicy murdery bit at least. Okay, so this one, it comes from Germany, I believe. Hold on. No, Austria. So Salzburg is the specific place, and there's like a Krampus thing that goes on there, obviously, because that's like where a lot of this comes from. And there's like a little story that is pretty specific to the Salzburg area that is has a different type of grotesque murder monster. Let's see if I can find the disc of them real quick. Hold on. I'm trying to find it. Well, this story starts off with a man named Freddy. He is homeless. He didn't really, picture his life as being a homeless person. I think that he had like I think he might have been a professor. And then, things just went sideways in his life. I think he turned to alcohol and maybe some drugs, and things went a little bad, as they do. And so he has been homeless for the better part of a decade at this point. And he lives in the Salzburg area in Austria. And there is a tradition there. And the tradition is one, I guess it's like scary to me because like it is a thing that would I would die. I would just be dead. I'm trying to see if this actually explains it. No. Okay. So there's these creatures. They call them, and I'm so sorry. I'm not gonna pronounce it super well. Schnabelpurchten. Schnabelpurchten. Oh boy. There are these bird-like sort of spirits, and they very silently move through the area with either shears or brooms. They have like long beaks, and they wear these hoods, and they go from house to house to check to make sure that the house has been prepared for the Epiphany. So this happens on the night of the Epiphany, which is in early January. And if the house has not been prepared, as in cleaned, they will punish you with murder. Yay. That's what the shears are for. And so our homeless friend doesn't need to worry about this because he doesn't have a home for them to visit to check if it is clean or not. He has no dwelling space. He just exists, but because he exists outside, he's seen them several times and he just sort of like knows about their existence. And he makes friends with a man named Byrne, who is another homeless man in the area, but he's not from the area, so he has never heard of this before. He doesn't know about the tradition of the Schnabelperchten. Those bird-like creatures. And so when they are out trying to find food on the night of Epiphany, they encounter them, and he's kind of freaked out, and Freddy's like, oh yeah, this is a thing, and you want to see what they do, we can follow them. And so they like do follow, and they end up in somebody's house. Sapphire, stop growling. My dog is upset somebody is at our door, or outside of our door. Not out at our door. We live really close to the street. Okay. So now I'm gonna read you a little bit of it. I'm gonna read you a little tiny bit of it. Okay. Yeah, Byrne went into the house with a house to see what they do, because he's like, I just want to see. And Freddy's like, you don't want to see, man. You don't want to see. We need to like leave them alone. Then he followed Byrne into the living room, and he froze. Antlers hung from the wall above the fireplace, and the room held an eclectic array of furniture, most of it threadbare and mismatched floor patterns. A small black and white television stood on a tray table beside a fat armchair. Magazines were strewn across the coffee table, and piled beside the armchair, an open box of biscuits sat amongst the magazines. A coffee cup and a plate of crumbs and grape stems had been abandoned there. The entire room needed to be straightened, vacuumed, dusted. But the worst of it was the stink of cat urine from the litter box in the far corner, in front of the overstuffed bookshelf that looked as if books had been stacked and piled by an angry drunk. Across the room, though, through an arch entryway that led to the hall, Freddy saw the two Schnabelperchen return from the kitchen and start up the stairs. Byrne padded across the stained carpet to follow. Freddy lunged to grab his arm. Don't be a fool! Byrne turned to glare at him. You can't see us. Freddy grabbed him again. You don't want to see this. Byrne scowled, shook himself loose, and darted for the steps before Freddy could even drag him from the house. Freddy cursed under his breath and followed. He reached for Byrne's coat a third time, but the other man was younger, quicker, and reached the second floor before Freddy could catch up to him. The top step might as well have been a brick wall. That was as far as Freddy was willing to go. On the last step, he watched as Byrne slunk along the corridor and peeked into one room, then moved on to the next before he reached the room, and the noises began. From the room at the end of the hall came a sound Freddy had heard once before in his life, and far too often in nightmares. The sound of shears plunging into flesh, a wet, violent puncture, and then the hushed metal clack of the shears being used. Byrne reached the door from which the noises emanated. Freddy had warned him, had as much as told him without telling him, but the fool had needed to see for himself. Grim fascination, perhaps, or pure sadism. Freddy didn't think it mattered which. In that bedroom doorway, Byrne stood with his eyes widening and let out a scream of horror. Freddy knew he should run, but his feet moved him in the wrong direction, toward his friend instead of away. He rushed up behind Byrne and clamped his hand over his mouth. It muffled the scream, and the second later, Byrne was silent, perhaps realizing how foolish he had been. "Quickly," Freddy whispered into his ear. "Let's go." Byrne whimpered, but did not move. Freddy nearly dragged him, but in glancing up at his friend, he had a view over Byrne's shoulder and into the bedroom. One of the Schnabelperchen straddled the woman in the bed, using its shears to open her from groin to breastbone. The whole room was in disarray, clothes piled everywhere, plates and cups on the nightstand. On the floor, the second inspector knelt beside the corpse of the husband. His guts had been laid out by the shears of the Schnabelperchen, and the creature had reached both hands into the dead man's torso and now slid intestines out of his steaming insides, hand over hand, arranging them around the body with a kind of artistry. The Schnabelperchen, disemboweling the man on the floor, kept working, but the one on the bed had frozen in the midst of the cutting, disrupted by Byrne's scream. Shears in hand, it turned its eyeless, mouthless beak towards them, and Freddy could feel the weight of its regard, knew that despite the lack of eyes, the creature had studied them. The dead woman's head lolled to the side. Perhaps she had not quite been dead, but now her sightless eyes seemed to gaze at the two men in the bedroom doorway, as if accusing them, as if asking why they had not stopped this, why they did not step in even now to prevent further evisceration and desecration that would unfold here. And so that's what happens if you don't clean your house on the day of Epiphany. You get that. Anyway, so Byrne and his friend, or Freddy and his friend Byrne leave and are, distraught as you are when you see that. Yeah. I don't know. I would not be okay either. And so they're like, fuck, we gotta get away. And so Freddy's just trying to be like, okay, we'll go to my spot. I have a little place outside. And like Byrne's like, hell no, your spot is out in the open. We need to go somewhere safe. And so they travel to Byrne's spot, which ends up being in a car in a garage that the garage owner, he's like a mechanic, I guess. The garage owner allows Byrne to park there and stay there. And so they go there and they get in the car, and it is kind of nice because at least now they're not in the cold and in the snow. And they're like falling asleep. And then Freddy wakes up to some tapping on the glass, and he sees that the Schnabelperchen are around them, and they are trying to come in, and he like looks around him and he's like, oh, this isn't a house, but it is a dwelling space, and Byrne owns it, and it is a mess. It has garbage lying around and clothing and all kinds of stuff. It is a mess. And so he realizes that they're coming to judge them, and they need to get away. and it all gets really bad for a minute there. I won't tell you what happens in the end because I think you should read it yourself. But this is the first story that had this is the one that they start off with, and it's probably one of actually my favorites. But there's also some other really good ones in this one. I really liked I liked the Tenerife Do one. I liked the Stephen Graham Jones one was also really good. There was this really weird one with some strange, I don't really even know what to call it. Dimension hopping sex stuff. I don't really know. I don't know. Yuletide, the Norse way. To bring it back full circle, the Norse way happened again. And yeah, I thought it was really fun. Fun times. Fun times. I gave it 4 because I could see wanting this for my shelf because I could see like being like, oh, we're gonna. If I had children, which I don't, when they became a certain age, I'd be like, time for some spooky story for Christmas, and like reading them one of the more tame ones. I would do that with my nephews though. Tipsy Auntie Kelly strikes again. But that's all I have for you today. I hope that you are inspired to find something spooky and fun to join you in your Yuletide festivities in this week. And I hope you guys have a really nice Christmas too, because I know that's coming up. My next major stream is usually on Thursdays. I do a singing stream. I am a classically trained soprano, and I sing all kinds of stuff. And we have a whole thing that we do where we're building my repertoire with a bunch of different other songs. And so we picked songs all month long, and I perform them at the end of the month. And then we do kind of like a karaoke thing. But since that is Christmas, I am moving that to Friday, Boxing Day. Boxing Day will be our day for singing all of the things. And I still might stream on Christmas because well, I'm not doing anything. I don't have any family. And also I'm sick. Well, yeah. I can't be around a lot of people, so like it's not like we can go anywhere. Is more what I mean. You'd watch a Callie Miss stream, that's good. But I might stream anyway. Do a little Christmas stream maybe. I keep on like I'm trying to find like a picture of like a Chinese restaurant that's decorated for Christmas to make a background. I think that's funny. But I might still stream on Christmas, and if I don't, it's because I just didn't feel up to it. But we will do the performance bit on actual on Boxing Day, so on the Friday after Christmas. My Christmas stream might be me practicing songs. Who knows? Could be that. Oh, songs that I need to like work on. I got I'm gonna do a collaboration with someone, and I have to learn the song a little bit better than I have it right now. I've worked on it today, but like there's just I at some point stopped being able to breathe. Apparently, could not get my breath under me at all, and so I was just like sucking. So I was like, okay, I need to stop. Apparently breathing is important. For singing, it's an important part of the whole thing. It must be a breathtaking song. Or every time I sing, it's breathtaking. Am I? No, I'm fine. Part of some of my, you know. Oh, all right. Yeah, I just my lungs are not great. My lungs aren't great. I had some respiratory infections that took me out for a while, and I still struggle with my lungs a little bit. And I also have asthma, like all of that combined together. I'm just like, you know what? Sometimes my lungs are just not doing what they need to do, and for whatever reason, the song is like long. Not COVID, actually. I just I have an immunity disorder along with everything else, and a pain disorder, and bad times, and it makes it so that I get pretty sick, and when I get sick, it can be pretty bad. But it for whatever reason, for probably about a decade, whenever I got a cold, it would settle into my lungs, and I would get bronchitis as well. So I had like a bronchital episode that like lasted 6 weeks, I think. It was a long time. I had another one that lasted 4 weeks too. And there was like a year where I was on different kinds of antibiotics, and we just like couldn't get it out of me. And I just have like random fevers and stuff like that. And so now like I have trouble with that. I still have respiratory illnesses that come and go. And I can't be out, and I'm not like, I always try to like make it clear I'm not like Iron Mouse level of like having to stay away from people, but I do have to be very careful about when I go out in public, and if I wear a mask all the time. I basically lived like COVID restrictions all the time. I'm a bronze mouse. That wouldn't be so bad. I don't want to be a mouse though. I'm a reindeer. We put out a short. It came out on Saturday where I'm just like, I'm a reindeer. I was wearing this outfit that I put on. And I fucking love the short. I don't know what, I was just in the mood that day. I was in a mood. If you want to go, my YouTube channel has a whole bunch of shorts. They come out 4 days a week. I'm also on TikTok. Fuck Instagram though. I can't get it to work. But yeah, I have a bunch of stuff that comes out. I have shorts of me singing, but they're like early ones, and so it turns out the longer you work on your voice, the better it gets. So I've been singing again regularly for about 4 months now, and woohoo, you can tell a difference. You can hear a difference, my man. Let me tell you. So I don't really like any of the singing shorts that we have out right now, but some of the later ones I've heard, they sound pretty good. I will admit it. Sometimes they sound good now. You mean there's a reason that music teachers tell us to practice? Yeah, apparently. I guess so. Also, when I was trying to train myself to do Music Box of Fate, I'm an Iron Mouse fan. Oh no, who would have guessed that the coloratura soprano up here is a fan of another coloratura soprano who also has an immunity disease, and disabled bitches rise up. She's a big inspiration for me. But yeah, I was trying to train to do Music Box of Fate, and there's the high note at the end is kind of crazy. I think it's a D. You're helping with that too, Fort, though, admitting that my voice is amazing. You make me listen to the playback of when we're doing the cover thing. And I was like, okay, no, I actually do kind of sound good there. Okay. Fair enough. And that was just me fucking around to show you kind of like what I was hoping for. So it wasn't even like a full whole attempt. I cannot wait. until Thursday, so you guys can hear me do. You can hear me do Manifold of the Lullaby of the Manifold. Ah, I'm so excited! It's so good. I love that song. It's so good. I'm so glad that we picked it. It makes up for how bad this Shin Godzilla one is, because I just can't figure out how to make that one work. But it's fine. It's still, you know, you get to hear a full opera voice for a little bit, and it's full opera voice that doesn't take me out like Answers does. But yeah, no, I was so excited for Manifold. That's why I want our next cover to be Manifold. It's so good. It's such a pretty song. And it's kind of like timely. It would be timelier right now because it just came out, that cover. That's why I want to do Manifold with you. And I think you'll have a really fun time interpreting some of the parts for like cool piano solo time, because I feel like everything that we do should require you to have a fun piano solo. If not, so that like when I use it to play live, I get a little moment to like take a breath and get a drink. But also because everybody should listen to you do cool piano things all the time. I take up a lot of the shiny light things, and you're supporting me, and you need like a good solid chunk of time so that you can just like have fun. No, you be a little star for a minute. I'm the star, sure, I'll be the star if that makes you more comfortable, but we need you to have a little glimmer time, because I need it so I can sit there and go, wow, he's so good. Wow, I'm so impressed. Anyway, that's how I feel about that. Yeah, Thursday I might just do some singing. Maybe we'll sing some Christmas songs too. All of the Christmas songs that the Jews made. So most of the Christmas songs is what I'm saying. I need to find us somebody to raid. I am pretty done now. I talked for 3 hours about books, 3.5 hours about books. Fingers crossed the new year will be full of lots of music covers. I hope so. I hope so. We'll have lots of music, we'll have lots of books. Yeah, thanks for coming by, Lost. It was really nice to have you around and to meet you. I see you joined the Discord server. I was going to let you know about that. Just a good place to get notifications of when I stream, so you can learn the schedule. It's Mondays, usually Thursdays, and Saturdays. With sometimes I'll just do a little random thing. And then you'll see what we have coming up. We have a book club coming up next month. Our first time trying to do a book club, and the book information is in the announcements if you would like to join us for book stuff. If you'd like to join us for music stuff, you'll find the information there too in the music chat. You have to get the book and binge read it fast. Yeah. If you are an audiobook kind of person, the audiobook for this one was also quite nice. I liked it. I always check out the audiobooks too, because I think they're valid. Alright. Finding a person to raid. I got talking and I didn't do that. What are people doing? We could go to Bobby again, but maybe not. Is there anybody who I'm friends with? Anyone I'm trying to be like, hey, sing with me? No. No. Well, other than Bobby, but Bobby wants to sing with me. Doesn't. Maybe somebody's doing some cool stuff in reading. Writing and reading. Have read-alongs. A lot of read-alongs. Not a lot of fun stuff. People writing. Okay, not a good thing. I don't know. Anybody got a person that they want to read? Well, I get a little ads out of you while I look. Ooh, makes sense. Ooh, would be fun. We could go to music. That's okay. I was gonna look at music and see pictures. We like to support the VTubers. And because Bobby's doing metal stuff again, because I like it, but I know not everybody does. We have festive karaoke. Let me see. Okay, we got somebody. They seem like a real person, and that's what matters to me. Let's see if they're any good at singing. I don't know. They're from the UK though, so they're in my time zone. Well, close to my time zone. Hold on. I think I have to wait for the ad break to end. I can give you music back now though. I think I have to wait for the ad break, but let me like set up the thing. There you go. Yeah, I don't have anything yet. That works. One day I'll get my shit together. Okay. Can I set it up now? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think there's that many people hanging out right now though, so. They don't read. That's a good one. People don't really know French very well. I get a lot of Kest Cali, which is fair. Or Cest Cali, and I'm like, close enough. It's a pun. C'est la vie. C'est Cali. Anyway. Okay, now I can let the raid go through. Alright, guys, thank you for hanging out. It was really fun. I will see you definitely on Friday, but maybe on Christmas. And I hope that you have a good time getting ready for holidays or whatever. And, you know, read a book. Read a book. And then I'll see you guys later.